powerful voices tackling the issues that affect us all. So let's get started with The Source.
I said, take your time, take what you love, baby, just now. Good afternoon, everyone. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice or looking at my happy little face on YouTube and Facebook, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Listen, I've got people on the air I need to talk to today. So much going on. I just want to say thank you before I get my first guest on, because I've been waiting to talk to him for a while now, to Nikki Bagby, Councilwoman Kendra Brooks, and a host of people that I met with today to support one of my mentees. Of course, because it's, you know, all of what's going on, I'm not going to put her name out there and all this other stuff, but I've been loving on this young lady and trying to support her for some time now, and she needed a little bit of extra help. And so I reached out to Nikki Bagby, and she called in the troops. Oh, and Jaden's Voice, Terry Matthews, all of you that pulled in to make sure that this young lady had a good holiday season. She was so shocked to see me, and and I was crying. You know, Mo, it didn't take much for me to cry about anything. So I just want to say thank you to all these people publicly, and I'm sure they'll talk about it later. I just, you know, I like to do stuff in the background and not really worry so much about what the photo ops are. All of them were just so good, and she was so grateful, and she was crying, and I was crying, and it was just a beautiful thing. Anyway, I'm moving on because I really want to talk to this next guest, and I don't have a whole lot of time. So let me pull this up. Let's see. Hope he's ready for me. It's been over a year since I spoke to him. Pennsylvania State Senator Vincent J. Hughes is a leading progressive voice on local, state, and national issues. His colleagues elected him to be the Democratic chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee in 2010, and he continues to bring proactive leadership to that role. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Sister, can they hear you singing down in Kingston? Can they hear you singing in Kingston?
How are you, sir?
Can I answer the question? Can they hear you?
Who hear me?
In the, our brothers and sisters in Kingston, can they hear you?
Oh, let me tell you, man. No, I forget you're married to a Jamaican. So you understand the problem?
Oh, you know. Okay? Oh, you know.
How are you, sir?
I am doing so much better after hearing your wonderful voice lead off the program, you know.
Yeah, I love what I do and I love working with people, but I have to tell you, I've been trying to get you on this show now for a little while, but very recently, because I saw your CARES, PA CARES 21 plan, that act that you put out, there's an email that I get from you every week, right? And so I saw that, and I was like, I've got to get him on the show. And Tiffany made it work. So I want to thank you so much for being on the air with us. I want to talk about this PA CARES 21 plan, and then I have a couple of other questions for you. Ready?
Sure.
All right.
Sure,
all right.
Sure.
So tell me about this plan.
And when we finish, I will tell my darling wife who I was speaking to on the radio today. All right?
Is she aware that I am Jamaican?
Oh, she's very aware. She is.
Oh, okay. All right then. But tell her, hail up the yardie for me. Tell her I said hello. You know.
I will do that. She is there now.
Yes.
And I'm not. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
In West Philadelphia in the snow.
Yeah.
And that's that's her family, so she's taking care of business with family and property and things of that nature. You know how you do. Okay?
Yeah, you already know. I just baked 14 black cakes this morning. 14. 4-hour process. God. I thought I was going to lose my mind, but hey, got done. All right, sir. So tell me about the state-funded stimulus plan to respond to the coronavirus pandemic. What do we need to know here?
So as folks understand, that, and rightfully so, there's been a lot of attention on what's happening in Washington, D.C. In fact, as we speak, there's a pretty significant program being passed out of the House and the Senate, finally agreed to. The president, Trump has said he will sign this piece, and it's going to be providing assistance on a number of different levels for people all across Pennsylvania and all across the country. And that's a good thing. All right, but the reality is that it will not go as far as we need it to go to really help people who are in crisis
right now
and need more than what is being provided in Washington. And we have to thank Congressman Evans and Senator Casey and a lot of our friends who fought and fought the good fight against McConnell. And Trump to try to get as much as they can. We need to, at the state level, build on top of what it is that they're doing, okay? So back in the beginning of December, we introduced a proposal called CARES 21, which would take about $4 billion of state resources and drive it to people to get them extra checks for unemployment compensation for 6 weeks for $350 a week, about $800 million for small business assistance. $50 million of those dollars will go specifically to barbers and salons. Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
$300 million for our restaurants. About $100 million for housing support to make sure that we're helping those individuals who are threatened with foreclosure and eviction, and a number of different areas. Utility assistance, probably about $150 million for utility assistance and $135 million for hazard pay. trying to help folks out where they are and the significant problems that they're dealing with as a result of this pandemic. And so we've got pretty much across-the-board support amongst our 21 Democratic senators. It is our job to put a thoughtful proposal on the table to force a conversation to try to get the state to help out like the federal government is helping out, and like, in this case, the city of Philadelphia has done some things as well.
Okay.
So that's what CARES 21 is all about. We will try to provide some answers to questions, but we believe that when we get back into session the first week of January, which is in 2 weeks now, that this issue needs to be brought up for a vote and get the support necessary. So I'm glad we're having this conversation right now so that folks understand exactly what's going on.
Right. So do you have the necessary votes to get it passed? Because I know you still have a Republican-led Senate, correct?
Yeah, we have the Republicans are in the majority in the Senate, and they are so far not as excited, and I'm being kind here, as we need them to be. But we think that if we continue to put the public conversation out, go to their communities, go to their constituencies, talk to their folks, that they need to be pushed on this. The governor, we know, is interested in parts of what it is we're talking about, and we're continuing to work with his folks to increase the level of interest there. But we've got to advocate. And Andrea, our job is to, even though we're in the minority and we can say, we're not going to fight, we're going to give in, we're just going to just hang around and go along, get along. That's not our job. Our job is to advocate, to see the issues and the crisis that exist in the people in Pennsylvania and to stand up for them and push the envelope to get them help when we know that they need the help that they deserve to have.
All right. So I'm looking at all of this. I have the fact sheet in front of me. I'm reading all of this. So let me ask you this question. I saw yesterday that $108 million in rental assistance that was slated for people in Pennsylvania, it was too late. That money was then pushed into the prison. Are you aware of this?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Can you tell Mother, before my patois comes out, what in the Sam Hill happened over there?
Well, so we introduced the program for rental and mortgage assistance, okay? Provide help for rental so the folks would not get evicted from their apartments or foreclose on their mortgages. We introduced this program back in April and May. It was put in place. There were some issues with the program. It needed to be fixed. And that's not unusual. Sometimes you put something out and, it needs to be tinkered with and fixed. So we agreed. We met with the landlords. We met with the tenants. We met with the housing advocates. We put all that stuff together, and we came up with a program that everybody agreed to on what the changes needed to be. The Republicans sat on it. Long story short, they sat on it. We sent them letters. We made phone calls. We tried to amend the legislation in the Senate and in the House. They sat on it, sat on it, sat on it. And because we're not in the majority, we're not in control, we're not in charge. We could not make the changes unilaterally. We had to get them to move the legislation. They sat on it, even though everybody agreed that it needed to be changed. Even though their own constituents would benefit from the change, okay? They sat on it. And so consequently, as the clock ran out in terms of getting that money out to the people and getting the clock ran out on getting the changes made so that the money could be driven out to the people. And the money to put back into the state budget to deal with issues in our correction system. And we need to be clear, we have a crisis in our correction system on COVID. All right.
Right. So that was my next question to you, right? Because the correctional officers and the prisoners, the inmates are, the COVID crisis there is pretty real.
Yes, it
In a
is.
brief conversation with, Councilwoman Brooks, they had an emergency meeting last night. Were you a part of that emergency meeting, sir?
No, I was not. I believe they will probably be dealing with the city prison system, but I'm not sure. I was
Yes.
not part of that.
Yes. So apparently, quite a few of the correctional officers are getting COVID. The men working for SEPTA and the sanitation workers, right? From what I came to understand, one person at least had COVID 5 times. 5 times tested
Oh
positive.
my gosh.
Would that be considered hazard pay, sir? Because I'm telling you. And when do they get their vaccines? I know I'm asking you questions that you can't probably answer right now, but it's some of the things that we want to think about.
Well, we can answer some of those questions. So when we did our original CARES program that in fact became law, we got over $100 million in hazard pay out to workers all across Pennsylvania. We included transit workers in that process, okay? And so what we said is that, all right, that went well, but we need to do more, all right? In CARES 21, there's more money for hazard pay. And so that's one thing. On the issue of getting the vaccine, all of those individuals that you just mentioned are considered essential workers and are probably in the second round of getting the vaccine. So the first round is for those healthcare workers, those individuals who are, obviously working in a hospitals and home healthcare workers and folks like that. They are the ones that are interfacing with folks on a daily basis with respect to their healthcare. Their first round. The next round gets to essential workers, and the faster we get more doses of the vaccine into Philadelphia and into Pennsylvania, the faster we can get everyone else vaccinated up. That's the issue of the speediness with which the vaccine can be delivered, both the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine.
Right. Okay. So you answered those questions, because when I read the article about the renters' assistance, I was like, oh my gosh. And so you answered that for me, that was held up in legislation with the Republicans, which makes perfect sense, given what we've seen happening.
Which is consistent. That's what they do. For example, there's going to be money in the federal program that is being voted as we speak. There'll be money there for eviction. There will be no money for foreclosure, okay? So we got to figure out how we can find more money at the state level to help deal with the foreclosure piece, while the federal level seems to be dealing with the rental piece, all right?
Right.
Because, and so for the unemployment piece, right? So as you know, there's a $600 stimulus check, right? One $600 stimulus check. Did you hear me, Andrea?
Oh, listen. You don't want to hear what I said when I heard what it was. Okay.
But let's add some data to your anger, and this is only going to make you more angry. Okay, all right. Australia gives out $1,900 a month. Canada, $1,400 a month. Are you sitting down, sis? France, I know you're sitting down.
I am.
$7,500 a month.
Oh, I know. I saw that how everybody was giving away. So most people, France, I think, was giving 100% of what people were missing from their salaries. Most people were giving 75%. I saw this data. I saw it this morning, and that's what made me throw everything up in the air and said, and they gave a measly $600? Who are they kidding? And who are they trying to placate? It's such a waste of time.
So what's being passed out of the federal level, and this is McConnell's doing. This is McConnell's doing. This is why we can't wait to get to January 20th when Biden gets sworn in. All right. So what McConnell's doing is for the unemployment piece, $300 a week.
No.
To March 14th. All right. So we have to do the state piece. All right, and advocate at the state level to build off of, to get more money into folks' pockets. And our proposal is for 6 weeks at $350 a week, all right? That's what we can do at the state level.
Right.
Add that to what's happening at the federal level, then then you start getting a little bit of help, I suppose.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
And so, look, all of this is a puzzle. All right. But what we got to be clear with, Andrea, is that even though it's a puzzle, we still have to advocate aggressively for the needs and interests of our people. We've got to listen to their cry. We've got to hear their plea. We got to understand their pain, and then we have to respond to it. When Bezos, all right, and the guy that runs Tesla, all right, when they can individually in 9 months make over $100 billion apiece, just in 9 months.
I know.
All right. Why can't we do better for the people? We have to do better for the people, but we have to demand better for our people as well.
All right. Can you hold on 1 second for me, please? Is that all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. All right, thank you. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on wordradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. And Pastor Waller is on the line. I'm about to merge them both. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit InternetEssentials.com to learn more.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
Want to buy black for the holidays? Word Radio has got you covered. WURD is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Visit wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to Word Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the Word Radio app. Or watch live on Word TV via Facebook and YouTube. Word Radio. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on Word Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the Word Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Listen to me. The WURD listeners on Word TV are losing. I have so many things that people are saying. So I am going to, let me pull Reverend Dr. Alan Waller in. Dr. Waller, are you there?
Hey, I am here. How are you?
I'm good. So guess who's on the line with me?
Online with
Senator Vincent Hughes.
Oh, my goodness. It's the king. What's up, Pastor? Hey, bro.
So I'm glad I could merge the both of you together because there's so much going on right now at the city and state and federal levels, and I need you all to answer as many of these questions as you can for me. How are you doing, Pastor Waller?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
all right.
Good. Thank you for asking. You all right?
Man, you know, I'm a Jamaican, so I'm going to make it do what it do. I can take stone and make soup. Put a little onions, little, you know, we're good.
All right.
All right, so listen, I've had Senator Hughes on since 1 o'clock this afternoon at the beginning of the show, and we were talking about the Act PA Cares 21 that they're trying to get passed at the first week in January when they go back, and which is essentially giving aid at the state level in addition to what the measly stuff that's coming from the federal level to help us, right? And I spoke with him about the $108 million that went back because according to Senator Hughes, the Republicans sat on it and so until the time ran out. That would help people with their rents, right? Then I learned today that there were so many essential workers from SEPTA, correctional officers. One of the WURD listeners, George, called in and gave me the heads up about it. The correctional officers and the sanitation workers, to name a few, who are getting COVID over and again. I mean, the toll that must be taken on their bodies. Talked to I'm looking at her face, Councilwoman Kendra Brooks this afternoon before my show started, and she was in a meeting last night, and they were saying that one person at least had COVID 5 times. How does one survive that? I don't even know. Where do we go from here in this diggity dang city? It just seems like so much is building. People are frustrated, and I'm asking the both of you now. What do we do? You're announcing these things. We're not sure if it's going to pass because the Republicans are doing what the Republicans do, and at the same time, people continue to die. People continue to struggle in this city. What do we do at this point?
Well,
who wants to take
you
it
want
first?
to take it?
Well, so I'll start off fast and I'll hand you the ball. What I said to Andrea earlier, and it's really the right question because the level of frustration is so high, is our job is not to just complain about the problems, but to think through and process where solutions can be and then advocate for those solutions. So that's what we've done with our CARES 21 proposal, which has unanimous support on the Senate side, 21 senators. They just need to find 4 more Republican senators, and it'll pass the Senate. And then we know the governor's interested in it, and then we get some muscle. But we've got to make sure that we're always talking about options and opportunities for solutions to some of these problems that we're dealing with. We see what's happening at the federal level. We've got to build off of what's happening at the federal level and get some state support in. And then all of us in this puzzle that we're putting together, the city, state, and the federal, all of us have got to rush aggressively towards January 20th at 12:01 p.m. when Joe Biden is sworn in, and hopefully we've won those 2 Senate seats in Georgia. And then when Joe Biden is sworn in, and then work with him to get a much more robust program out of Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has this capacity that the city and the state don't have. Washington, D.C. can literally print up money to deal with people's problems, okay? They can print up money to deal with issues that we're all confronted with. So we've got to stay active and stay engaged and get to that point so that we can get the help necessary to respond to the needs of our people. And when we look at other countries have no problem providing much more aggressive programs dealing with the needs of their people. We've got to be able to do the same and say that it can be done, and it has been done, and it is being done in other places. So that's what I got, Pastor.
All right, what do you got, Pastor?
Well, I absolutely agree with the senator, I think, and that is the political option. We've got to stay involved. We've got to take over and run the table. But what we also have to do, including that, is all of us are going to have to live like this is a pandemic.
Yes.
The reality is this thing is raging. That we have some responsibility. I know that we have essential workers who have to go to work, and I get that whole piece. But we also have to live like this is a pandemic. We have to take seriously shutting down how we gather and adjust our mindset to the reality that we're not getting out of this before June anyway. There's no way that a lot of things are going to change before the summer. And I say that to say is that we're going to frustrate ourselves and cause our own selves to lose because of just throwing up our hands in sheer frustration. And that because we know what system we're dealing with. We know that when these vaccines come down that they're going to choose who they're going to give them to. We know that if we don't stay focused politically and power concedes we're going to have to stay involved, and we're going to have to think about the next election, and we're going to have to monitor our own behavior, and we're going to have to also make sure we get out and vote and just stay focused. But I need our people to buckle up and plan for the long run. And that may sound like that may sound like giving up, but for me, that's staying in the fight. We have to stay focused in this. There's about a 22-day lag in the death rate behind major super spreader events or dates. We're now being hit by the margin of our activity during Thanksgiving, and now Christmas is coming up, and many of us feel entitled to some things around Christmas or Kwanzaa, and Kwanzaa or Hanukkah. And what we have to recognize is that we're in a war, we're in a fight. It requires us making some sacrifices as individuals, and it also requires us being laser focused on the balance of power in the political realm, both on the state level, and recognizing how critical Georgia is, and us staying involved to make sure that this next administration lives up to its promise about what he said he will do for the black community.
Okay, speaking of this administration, let me also ask this, because I hear the both of you. I get it, but I've got to tell you, as a black woman who has had, a pretty decent life, right? Being in this lockdown almost made me nuts, and I was riding my bicycle doing all those things. Then you add to that people who have lost their jobs, are facing eviction. They've been dealing with all sorts of anxiety and depression before the pandemic hit. I have to tell you that I am hearing an alarming amount of, getting an alarming amount of phone calls about not just us, my tender seasoned hen age of over 50 years old, but the young people who are committing suicide. One of my son's friends just committed suicide, walked in front of a train a couple of days ago, devastated his family. And when I asked my son what's happening, he said, "Mom, listen to us. It is hard. It has been very hard on all of us, and we don't know what to say." And so we're asking people to hold on. We're asking people to continue to stay in the fight. But what do you see that this is the perfect storm? Am I making sense here? It is the perfect storm of so many things happening at one time.
That's right. And now the preacher in me, I'm going to sound preachy, but this is a moment where we have to hold on to our faith. When you measure this moment versus the history of black people in this country, this is not our worst moment. Mm-hmm. And we come from a people who have handled more and more difficult, mm-hmm. because they were steeped in their faith. Mm-hmm. And while that may sound preachy and that might sound otherworldly, we have to also be honest about what has happened in our community with our relationship with God and the church. And I'm not talking about God turning on us right now, but this is a moment that the only way to have real hope is to be rooted in something deeper than ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that is a for real, not churchy, but a for real relationship with God. And that is part of the message of this moment. We sing the song, "My hope is built on nothing less," and I mean that. I do not believe I would be able to make it through this without knowing that there's something bigger than me, and I know him as God is revealed through Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And it's not time to play with that, and I'm not talking about just church antics. I'm mm-hmm. talking about having the real hard conversations in our community about what made Fannie Lou Hamer continue to do what she did. Mm-hmm. What made Malcolm change? What made black people in Montgomery walk for over a year? Mm-hmm. That was God, and that's how they managed. And we've had a lot of discussions around what the church is, what the church is not, and all of that. But this goes beyond what we don't like about religion, mm-hmm. and this goes to a deeper issue. And one of the reasons that I continue to come on this station, one of the reasons that I've been supportive is because I wanted to make sure that I lift up a voice about God. And in this moment, the only thing that is going to ultimately keep us from losing our mind is God.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with you at all, not even a little bit. Let me ask Senator Hughes this, and you too, Pastor Waller. There is Lord, the Democratic Party has said, for the most part, they're trying to reach out to different people, but they have literally lynched their elections on black folks. And we've been hearing recently of conversations that we've lost the Senate seats and the Congress seats because black folks were out there talking about defund the police. And once again, I'm starting to get this little itch in the back of my neck that our votes continue to be taken for granted to a certain extent. Where do we find, and I notice now that more people are getting positions of power, right? Black women, black men, people of color. I see it. I'm not negating it in any way. At the state and local level, though, how can we give more access to people who, for instance, want to run for office, Senator Hughes, that have not had the opportunity because they've been told it's not their turn, they don't have enough money? Where do we open the doors for new and fresh and inviting voices to join what you all are doing?
Well, I think, many of us who are sitting as elected officials, obviously we want to make sure that we want to get, we do the hard work so that we can get reelected. Many of us, I'm not going to say all of us, but many of us also do some work in terms of raising up young people to get them involved in all aspects of the process. I look in some of the geography that I represent, and I see a growing number of young people running for office and winning and serving and serving well. State Representative Morgan Kupis in the 192nd District, which is in West Philadelphia, north of Market Street, is one. Representative-elect Almond Brown just got elected. Young man, got a lot of energy, got a lot of excitement. Okay. That good stuff he's working on. He'll be taking an oath of office and coming in on January 5th. Kendra Brooks' buddy, Council Member Jamie Gauthier, okay, is doing good work and really stayed with that issue around the homeless on the Parkway. And could have easily walked away from that one and dealt with some other stuff, but stayed with that one and helped negotiate a peaceful resolve to that with housing opportunities for a lot of those folks who had staged that living, if you will, down there on the Parkway. So I see Derisha Parker up in Northwest Philadelphia.
Yes.
I see this happening. What I've tried to encourage, as someone who's been doing this for a while, what I've tried to encourage is look at this process not just as who's running for office. Look at this process as, who are the experts in budgeting, all right? We're dealing with, at the state level, we deal with like $80 billion of state and federal money that comes through Pennsylvania. I chair this Democratic Senate Appropriations Committee. Understand the budgeting, understand the legal aspect, okay, of writing laws and crafting laws. Understand the communications aspect. You can have a great issue, but if you don't know how to communicate it, Andrea, you're dead, okay?
You're absolutely right.
And so there's other ways to get involved and utilize your commitment and your expertise to seize control of the operation. I will dare say this. A lot of the young people, or a lot of the folks who ran the Biden campaign in Pennsylvania, there's a lot of young people involved. A lot of black men and black women, young, were involved in that process, and for their capacity, and they weren't just in charge of black folks. They were in charge of the whole operation. Okay?
Yep, Sincere Harris. I interviewed her. She was wonderful.
She's fantastic. And so they are seizing it. And what we have to do, who've been doing this for a little bit, we have to to guide and say, here are the pitfalls, don't try this, don't try that. Look at the history that was just made with Joanna McClinton. Look at that history, okay? I mean, after three terms as a state rep, she is now the minority leader for the House of Representatives, one of the few black women to hold that position across the state, across the country, all right? So I see it happening, all right? I see the work going on. I just want to make sure, and we cannot escape what Pastor just said. We cannot escape it. Many of us come from out of the, if you will, and I may not be saying this correctly, out of the lineage or the history of Reverend Jackson, Jesse Jackson I'm talking about, all right? And he always would say something, we got to keep hope alive. Because if you don't have hope, you don't have anything. And in this case, I tag hope and faith as really, in many respects, the same thing, all right? Because we got to keep pushing forward. We got to keep believing, and we got to recognize the wins and make sure that we lift those wins up so that our people understand that we're just not crazy, all right? And if we do this thing right, if we do this thing well, we can win, and we have won, all right?
So gentlemen, let me say this to the both of you. Unfortunately, I got to go. This was a good conversation, but can I invite you both back to have another one in the beginning of the year? Because we need to continue this dialogue and people need to hear exactly what is happening. Sometimes we read articles and we get so frustrated, and there's always something going on behind the scenes that we need to talk about. So I want to thank you both so much, Senator Vincent Hughes and the Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller. You know, you both have a good holiday. We're going to keep the hope, keep the faith, and make sure that we continue to give the people what they need. Yes.
I have to say this point because it involves your Jamaican sister, all right?
Yes.
Cheryl was supporting Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris dropped out of the campaign. And Cheryl said, sister, you never know where your blessings are going to come from and when they're going to arrive. It was the lowest of the low months. 6 months later, what happened?
She became the vice presidential nominee. Yep, so true.
Don't tell me there's no God. Don't tell me that.
Right, you're absolutely right.
I don't mean to preach, Pastor Waller, but I feel like
you got it, bro.
All right?
You got it. That's it.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much, and have a good holiday. All right, bye-bye.
Take care now.
Bye-bye. All right, bye-bye. Want to buy black for the holidays? We have got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. We will be right back after these messages.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandmom.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear a mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Livelihood, the new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. You know, even though this is a 3-hour radio show, sometimes I wish I had 10 hours to just really start to delve into some of the scenarios and things that are going on. I've always wanted to get Senator Hughes on here to ask him some of these questions, and I feel like I didn't get enough in. And then having him and Pastor Waller on together, because there's so much happening in this city that is so ridiculous. And yes, we've made some great strides, but people are really... Lord Jesus, let me take these calls. People are just really going through it. So I want to thank them both for getting on the call with me. And we'll delve into it a little bit more at some point soon. Let me see. Lord, Maurice, and then I have Gary. How are you both doing? Maurice, how are you? Maurice, is Maurice gone, Michael? All right, Gary. Gary. Well, that's gone. Where's Gary? Gary's not there, Michael? Somebody talk to Mother. Oh, they hung up. Well, listen, Maurice and Gary call back. I got the pastor and Senator Vincent Hughes off the line so that I can really. Is Glenn still there? Glenn, how are you?
Yes, I'm still here.
Woo, Lord. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. How are you today?
I am good. I am good. It's a good day to be breathing and alive. What can I do for you?
Well, I'd just like to say a few things. And what I'd like to say is pretty much personal and observation. I see that more of our black politicians, more of our black preachers, they're talking about taking the vaccine and stuff like that. The only religious leader I've seen or heard of telling people not to take the vaccine is Minister Farrakhan, and rightfully so. Minister Farrakhan has people involved, scientists involved, and they're working on it. But when I hear, and especially Cuba, they're working with Cuba back and forth. But when I hear preachers and politicians talk about take the vaccine, and they don't even know what's in the vaccine, they don't know how it's affecting us as a people, that makes me start to wonder.
All right, okay, so Glenn, Glenn, let me say this to you. I am not disagreeing with you. That before you get defensive, I am not disagreeing with you, not on any level. What I'm getting ready to say to you is this: we're not even talking about a vaccine right now because there's so many other things going on, and it will be a long time before you and me or anybody else have an opportunity to talk about the vaccine. So what I'm going to suggest to you, because I have to take these other calls too, is that you start to do your own research. I've said this to you before. If you don't want to take the vaccine, don't take the vaccine. And if you have folks that you don't want to take the vaccine, then say that to them. You know, there are people. My producer's not taking the vaccine. I'm taking the vaccine. It comes down to personal choice, sir. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. I just want to say one more thing before I hang up. Pfizer, Bayer, and Johnson & Johnson. Tell your listeners that they can look up the lawsuits against them, multi-billion-dollar lawsuits.
Oh, I believe you on that, too. I believe you on that. I think everybody's just shooting in a barrel, trying to figure out what they're doing. And you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. These vaccines work on some levels they don't work. Folks don't know what they really do. I don't even want to talk about. I don't disagree with you. Let me just say that I don't disagree with you on the fact that sometimes these are the things that are going on. But it comes down to a personal choice and what we believe and agree on, right? You have a good one. Let me take these other calls. Thank you so much, sir, and you have a good holiday, okay?
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, Maurice.
Mother.
Child.
You hear me? I hear you a little tired and frustrated there a little bit. I want to tell you something.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that caller that was on before because it's a personal choice, though.
Yes, it is.
You know,
it is.
What the point that I think he was trying to make is that, and especially here in Philadelphia, clergy and politicians get together and sway people in Philadelphia because most black people in Philadelphia are sheeps. We just follow whoever tell us what to do, and we don't think about it till it's too late. And that's the point I think he was just trying to make. And
yeah, and I hear him. I hear him. I told him.
I'm not call about vaccines.
Really? What you call about, Maurice?
I called about the two guys that was on before me. Who I'm talking about is the Reverend and the politician.
Am I about to get an earful, Maurice?
No. I think they're both good men. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I think they're both good men. I don't know anything personal to say anything bad about them. But where were they speaking about all this great stuff about all other countries, telling us with that $100 million that's not being used. Where were they when the city of Philadelphia wanted to come up with the Lomax bill about hiring, making sure that we get enough black people with jobs working in the construction field, and when we're losing city contracts? Where were they on the front line screaming about that?
Right.
You know, we were in bad shape way before COVID even came. People
you are right.
You
are absolutely right, Maurice.
People don't understand that. This is what I'm trying to say to you. When you say, people don't understand how big this number is. When you say black business is only 2.5% before COVID, that's almost like saying zero. People don't realize how bad that is. People don't realize that the black employment rate of Philadelphia is 26. And they're not talking about white folks. They're talking about black folks are 26% don't have no jobs before COVID. See, I'm talking from the street person. I'm not talking from, I don't like politicians. I really don't like clergy either because I don't follow them. I'm not friends with them. So I'm not governed by them. I'm just talking about when I walk out my door and I can walk 20 blocks in any direction and can't find a black store. I can't remember the last time I had barbecue chicken wings from a store in my own neighborhood because it don't exist. I can't remember when the last time I bought a bean pie in my own neighborhood because it don't exist. Can't remember when I seen a black man standing on the corner or getting in a pickup truck with a hard hat going to work. This is what I see when I walk the streets in my own neighborhood. That's how I judge government. My street is so bad, you think you was in Uganda running over people. That's how bad my streets is. So I'm just saying, I judge politicians about improvements in my neighborhood, not when they did me a favor, got me a job, or got me a parking sign, and nothing like that. I judge them by what they did for my fellow community. That's how I judge a politician.
So Senator Hughes is at the state level. So the stuff that you're talking about is city council.
I follow him. I follow him because he comes off as a good man. I really don't have anything bad to say about him. But, you know, silence is one of the worst things you can have. Not after it happens, but I want to hear you speaking and screaming before it happened. You say you read these bills, you traveling here and there. You do. I know when I heard him on the radio almost every day when they was trying to build a black house up in Bluebell for history for us. He was on the radio every day screaming, trying to get money from the government for that. But when these people that need this money for this housing, the unemployment, the price of affordable living, I don't hear nothing.
Well, he was just talking about the CARES 21 Act that they're trying to get passed. The supplement was coming down from the federal level.
Yeah,
I also did ask him about the $108 million, and he said the Republicans held that up, and that's why the money went back. They wouldn't.
I want to give you something to live by, and when I talk to the young guys, I tell them the difference between Democrats and Republicans is Democrats tell you no. Republicans tell you no, and Democrats make you a promise they're never going to keep. So all this nonsense about that blaming the Republicans, well, you know, when you find out that they're up to something dirty, that's when you go to your public and you get them to Barnes, Harrisburg, with letters and phone calls. But we don't get that. They're always coming after the fact. Chris Rabb, who's a state rep, when all this money is coming in, he ain't been on the station once and told us about this $175 million that's coming our way. I know he done read the reports, but when we lost that $200 stipend for people that not need money for extra money to play with, but need money to eat, so they don't have to decide between medicine and eating dinner. He says, oh, I didn't know they was going to do that, but we pay you to know these things.
You're absolutely right.
I'm not going to be on here preaching bad about everybody, but I'm telling you, I'm 60 years old, and as of recent, with this new wave of politicians, I can't name one thing that they did for black people that I can say, you know what? They did this. All I see is takeaways. And you ask anybody else, that you talk to on the radio, what the last thing that black people done politicians done for black people, you know what they're going to say? We got a Cotto statue, and that's all they can say.
Thank you so much, Maurice. I got to take a break. Gary, don't hang up. I got to take a break. He hung up. Maurice is hilarious. But listen, I can't deny that these are things that are going on and that people are so frustrated. Let me take a break, and then I'll come back and I'll take Gary. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939. 1 month, 25 bold ideas. A more just, equitable, and prosperous Philadelphia. Join speakers like Reverend Michael Eric Dyson, MSNBC anchor Ali Velshi, LAPD Sergeant-turned-police reformer Cheryl Dorsey, author and poverty fighter Wes Moore, Black Thought of the Roots, and WURD's own Charles Ellison for the Philadelphia Citizens' 3rd Annual Ideas We Should Steal Festival. Presented by Comcast NBC Universal, Tuesdays throughout December. Find out more and reserve your spot at thephiladelphiacitizen.org/Ideas We Should Steal Festival. For WURD members, check your email for discounts and complimentary access details. WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. Let's talk about eating mindfully. Often we are rushing from moment to moment and we hurry through our eating like it's checking off an item on our to-do list. Each day for each meal, let's commit to doing these 3 simple things to activate our mindful eating experience. Number 1, slow down. Number 2, eat while you're sitting down. And number 3, chew each bite 20 to 30 times. You can do it. Eating mindfully is something we can all do to support our overall health and digestion. Go ahead and try it for your next meal today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at WURDradio.com. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I have 2 phenomenal guests that are coming on next. I'm going to take Gary to have a conversation with it, but let me say this to all of you. There's a lot of chatter on the Facebook page, and look, politics is a mean and nasty business. It is so mean and nasty that it's something that I don't want to find myself into beyond the school board level, which I did for the 8 years. But I want to say this to you all. We keep fussing and complaining about politicians are corrupt and this is wrong and that is wrong. Run for office or vote the folks out and put somebody up to run for office. Does that make sense? Because we cannot continue to have these same conversations over and over again. Joseph Simmons is right. If we are so disgusted by the people that are in office now, why are they still there? Either we're not voting, the apathy is there, we're not running to an election, or we're going back into the booth and voting for the same people that we're complaining about every time, right? And so we have to step up and make better decisions if we want better for ourselves. Because the bottom line is this: for someone who has sat in these seats, and I understand what it is, I've seen the corruption at the local level. It leaves you on the outside when you don't want to be a part of the shenanigans, right? But you also see that when we don't do anything about it, there are folks that get in there and hold up Congress, hold up the state Senate, hold up the Senate at the federal level. So what are we going to do about it, right? And that's just where I'm going to leave it for the time being. Lynette, I see you saying that you're recovering from COVID, so I wish you love and light, honey. He's fussing about Maurice. Gary, let me take your call, and then I'm going to go to my two guests. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Andrea. How are you?
This holiday break can't come fast enough.
Yes. I was hoping that I could get in when the senator and Pastor Weiler were on, and I think Pastor Weiler was talking about us having to be strong and standing in there. No disrespect to him. I don't know any other group of people that are stronger than us,
right?
For what we've endured and what we still endure today. So strength is not a question. It's the lack of representation and service. We're out there. We vote. We support our candidates. They need to connect with us. They need to be in our community, drive through our community, see what's really going on, and start having an action plan. And when you engage with the people directly, they're going to engage with you. And I don't see a lot of that happening. And another thing, we talk about politics. I know we're saying we need the younger people to run. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But don't exclude the older people, too, that have the mentality and the physical strength to also run. I've worked 40 years for city government, 2 city controllers. I've seen so much from the inside, and it makes me angry that it's still going on. So I'm just saying, don't exclude people.
I agree
because
with you.
They're older.
So let me say this.
My friends that know me and they know what I'm involved in and the things that I do, many of them, they come to me and they'll call me, Gary, you should run for office. And I laugh and they say, no, we're serious. I say, no, you know what? I served as treasurer for District Council 47, Local 2187, and I can tell you stories, man. We do not stick together as a people, unfortunately, and they railroaded us, and I can't tell you what they did to us. Andrea, I would rather for someone to hit me in my face than to lie on me. I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't raised like that. And
unfortunately, in politics, Gary, it's a dog-eat-dog world. I've had to back up a few people myself. Once what I know, this is what I know in politics. Once they realize that you're not playing the games with them, you are respected. You might not be liked, but you are respected. And when you open your mouth, folks will listen to you. So it takes a certain level of tenacity and dogmatic attitude to get there, but you have to have the stomach for politics because they literally will serve their young on a platter to stay in office. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen, right? So
I just wanted to say this. My mother used to say this to me, and for me, it's so true. People only do to you what you allow them. I grew up. Wait a minute, I grew up as an only child, and I grew up in Mantua, down the bottom, and I would come in the house crying about things, sort of, and she would tell me, I can't say it nicely, bring yourself in here one more time complaining about so-and-so, and it's going to be me and you. She taught me to be respectful to everybody, but at the same time, she said, Gary, you don't let people walk all over you, and you know what in your face and tell you it's raining. I'm going to leave on that note. Thank you, Andrew. Love you.
No, you're quite welcome. Love you too, my brother. Take it easy. Now, I know I've got a bunch of callers on the line. I'm going to tell you all a minute or less because I really want to get to these 2 people who are calling from different parts of the country. Woody, how are you?
Well, I guess I can't get what I need since I only got a minute, so I'm not going to say very much else outside of a couple of little songs you sang along. You sound better than the song. I really like your voice. It's really great. Yes, ma'am.
Like to call me back at 3:20. We can talk longer then.
Okay. Well, look, I never saw anybody be able to bring church and state together, so I'll call you back.
Call me back. All right, sir. Call me back at 3:20. All right. Let me see. Who else do I have left? Bernard?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm good, ma'am. I just wanted to call in and make a comment or two about Pennsylvania Republicans.
Okay.
They've been around a very long time. I come out of the old Pennsylvania State Welfare Rights Organization. And so these Republicans have been around a long time. And they've always held up legislation that impacted the poor and black community, always. But back in those days, we knew how to fight. So I'll give you an example. when Milton Street went to Harrisburg, and they wanted to put him in one of them old rat-infested offices up there, and so his constituents would come up there and sit in rat-infested environment. He pitched a tent on the lawn. And many of those folks gave him a decent office, so when his constituents came to Harrisburg, they could sit in a decent office. When the housing situation in Pennsylvania was so bad back in those days in public housing, Louise Brooks and Roxanne Jones and those folks from Pennsylvania Welfare Rights and Delaware County Welfare Rights went to Harrisburg, demonstrated around the Secretary of Welfare's office, and took a whole bunch of critters with them in jars and let them loose in Harrisburg. So those folks could feel some of that pressure. Right?
So, Bernard, so what you're saying is we lost our will to fight. We're so busy communicating.
We don't have no will. We don't have any will to fight. We're full excuses. And I'll use this one more example, if you allow me. I'm sorry. And every time I call you, excite me. That's why I be yelling at you, but not really yelling at you. I think you. So it's just who I am. It's just my personality. So I'm not yelling at you. And so in the end, I want to say this. There are black folks, more black folks in Pennsylvania now across the state than ever before. And we won Pennsylvania because based on that black vote for Joe Biden. I don't want to hear any excuses why some bill got passed or didn't get passed because some Republicans in Delaware County or Montgomery County or some other county voted against it. Point out the leadership, Senator Hughes, and I respect Senator Hughes. Point out who the leadership is in those counties, and let's meet with the black folks from Montgomery County or Chester County or Margot Lomax Davidson out there in Delaware County, and go to their homes and go to their offices downtown and demonstrate and embarrass their butts because guess what? White folks is poor too. White folks needed that money too. White folks on welfare too, and that's all I wanted to say.
You better go on with it, Bernard. Thank you for calling my brother. You take it easy, okay?
I still got fire in my belly.
Oh, bye-bye. All right, bye-bye. All right, I'm going to move on to my guest because they're probably listening to this and going, this woman is crazy. But I love the WURD listeners. So, Deborah Keys Wright and Devin Del Palacio. I want to make sure that did I say that properly? Del Palacio?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so proud of myself. Vice President, Board of Education for the Tolleson Union High School District in Phoenix, Arizona. Deborah Keys Wright brings on amazing folks from around the country. We're talking about diversity and inclusion, what's happening to the impact on students, educators, and communities of color. So thank you all. Thank you both so much for listening. I am assuming, Mr. Del Palacio, that the same things we're talking about in Philadelphia is happening in Arizona?
Absolutely. We're experiencing high numbers of, COVID cases. We're experiencing a high number of working families who are on the verge of eviction. We're experiencing a high number of kids who are disengaged. So a lot of the same challenges.
Yep, agreed. It's so disheartening. Deborah, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, so let me do a quick read about Devin, and then I'll turn it over to you and we can talk. Devin Jones Del Palacio is the Vice President of the Governing Board of the Tolleson Union High School District, covering the cities of Tolleson, Avondale, and Phoenix, Arizona. Tolleson Union High School District's first African-American board member, Del Palacio, has dedicated his board tenure to advancing equity. Del Palacio helped draft and passed a non-discrimination policy that includes protection for gender identity and gender expression, assisted the district in passing the Indigenous Peoples Day resolution, and collaborated with board members to produce an anti-hate speech resolution, among other important board actions. Good afternoon to the both of you. Let me, Deborah, Deborah, we already know. Tell people who you are, Deborah.
Of course. And I'm telling you, your callers I just love listening to them. You get them so excited with your conversations, and especially your normal folks, Woody and
yes!
call in. They are comical at times, I tell you.
Yes, they are. But I listen to them.
Share, I think it's so important, and everyone's paying attention to it, We are talking about COVID-19. We are probably COVID fatigued by now. We're just tired of it, but it's here. And so, we're talking about how does it impact, our children and the community. Let me count the ways, We're dealing with the mental challenges, that trauma for children, trauma for the teachers. You know, and we're really dealing with 4 pandemics simultaneously. You think about COVID, the racial unrest, the economy, and the loss of connecting with students, which is so impactful. And you know, and we're trying into the biggest conversation now, one of them, of course, is when are we going to get the children back physically in school? And I continue to remind people that the responsibility of the school system, the superintendent with the board members governing, is to still provide a safe learning environment for children. And it's not just if there's a mass shooting or whatever. It is a safe learning environment. This falls under that as well. And so even when we put up every safeguard and every protocol and everything is planned, teaching and learning is not just going to pick up where it left off 9 months ago. It just can't. So we know that there's going to be a loss, but students are still learning. That's the good thing. They are still learning. But do they have to catch up? Absolutely. So all districts, of course, are going to have to be creative. And I'm sure that the teachers are doing to be as creative as possible to help get these children engaged in Zoom. You know, you think about kindergartners, first graders, sitting in front of a computer. You know how us adults are doing this. We're challenged with this. You know, my hat goes off to the districts because they are getting it from both sides, you know, getting their lives threatened, you know, over making the decisions that not everyone's pleased with. But I really do believe, and you know, and you're a former board member, I am definitely an advocate for school board members. These are individuals who have a thankless job. And like you said to your other caller, if you don't like an elected official, instead of complaining, then you run for the position and see how easy or not it is. And so I really encourage the current board members, do the best you can. Make sure you read up and you are educating yourself to make the best informed decision. And so that's my soapbox, and I don't know, Devin's going to share a lot with us. And so I'm so anxious to have him a part of this conversation as well.
So thank you, Deborah, for always bringing the most amazing people on. Mr. Jones, can I call you Devin? May I call you Devin?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
If every time I say Del Palacio, I'm just going to. So I love your name, but I don't want to keep messing it up. So Devin, let me ask you this. I noticed something here about that you've dedicated your board tenure to advancing equity and that you helped to draft and pass the non-discrimination policy. This morning, Devin, I was having a conversation with an educator who said that the children having to be home, working from home in COVID, some of them had to work from their phones. Their parents are fighting. They're housing insecure. They don't know if they're going to be living in their homes. Some of them are gay, transgender, bisexual. They have to, you know, they were able to do things in school like meet with their friends. They can't do that because their parents would either throw them out or kill them if they found out that they were LGBTQ, and so, or gender nonconform. There's so much going on, and we see it as, you know, to a large extent. Deborah brought out the 4 things: COVID, racial unrest, the economy, and lots of a solid education, right? But what do we do? I keep talking about these things, and some days I literally just want to cry because I keep hearing the stories. One of my son's friends walked in front of a train and committed suicide a few days ago, right? Because he just didn't know what to do. He was at a loss, and he's not the only one. We have been very quiet about the suicides, the ones that have been that they pulled off, and the ones that the attempts that are made. And families are screaming. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to say to our children, because before they would just send them to school, educators would deal with it, or they would put them in some sort of treatment plan somewhere. But everything is locked down because of COVID. As a school board member, when you see some of these things or all of these things happening, what are the challenges to you, to your psyche, in making the kinds of responsible decisions that will help to move your district forward?
Yeah, well, great question. Well, first of all, let me just say how honored I am to be in this position of service, okay? School board members, for many folks who don't know, are not paid. We're not like other paid elected officials. I don't receive a paycheck. I do this because I'm passionate about my community, and I understand that education is a civil right, and it must be treated as such, period. So for me, how I approach the work is this. schools can no longer just be about ABCs, okay? Schools aren't just about books and academia. A lot of times we are the line of defense for children's health care, mental health, counseling. They come to us for food. It's not just about ABCs no more. What good are ABCs going to do if our children's basic needs are not being met? Once those basic needs are not met, a child, and research shows us, a child cannot learn effectively in the classroom. So for me, it's not only just about the academia and the curriculum, because we can have the best curriculum in the world, but if we're not meeting the basic needs of that whole child, you can forget the rest. So during this pandemic, what we've done is not only have we had that gone virtual, but we ensure that we're still feeding our kids. For example, many kids are on a 2-week winter holiday break. Guess what? We sent our kids home with 10-day meal packs for families who needed the food. Guess what? Our mental health services are still available 24/7 virtually, all right, where kids can tap into these mental health services, counselors, and third-party services that we contract here within our community. So just because kids are on break, just because kids are learning virtually does not mean that the need to stop serving them, the whole child, stops. And so as school board members, you have to have a holistic approach to this pandemic and understand that there are many aspects of need, and you have to meet all of them.
So, 2 questions. I'm loving this conversation. Ooh, because you're passionate, but you're also knowledgeable of that which you speak. How large is your school district?
So in my school district, we have 7. So my school district is only high schools. So I have 7 high school districts, 13,000 students. Now, in Arizona, there are over 238 individual school districts. Some are elementary, some are high school, and then some are both. In my district, it's strictly high school.
Oh, so you serve 7 high schools in your school.
7 high schools, 13,000 students.
13,000 students. Okay. My second question then becomes, you're the first African-American board member.
In 100 years, that's correct. The district's been around for 100 years, and it used to be an old agricultural farming community that was predominantly ran by white folks. But obviously, through time, that's changed. Those who are familiar with Arizona demographics understand that the Latino population has increased. We got a lot of black folks coming out this way, and so the demographics have switched. And so, but for the longest time, in the area that I'm in, it was predominantly ran by old white farmers.
So, here comes my third question. We're looking at diversity and inclusion and what that means to those of us who are running for school board. Same thing happened to me. I was the only person of color on my board. The woman that's on the board now, she's the only person of color, only person of color on the board. And it's almost like folks believe that we get one black person on, it's enough, right? So what has it been like for you breaking the barrier, first of all, and made it up to vice president?
So yeah, right? So here's the deal. When you're the only one, everyone expects you to solve the problems for your community, right? They come to you for everything, right? You're that one person that they think speaks for the entire community, and folks have to understand is that we're not all monolithic, okay? We all have varying viewpoints, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I've made it my personal mission to try and recruit more people of color, specifically black folks, to get in these positions. Because here's the deal. Many folks in the community do not understand what a school board member does, period, right? We're not in the news. We're not making national headlines. People barely understand what Congress does. So let alone do they understand who their local school board member does. And here's my advice to your listeners is this. Pay attention to who these people are. Pay attention. These are the folks that are approving multi-million-dollar contracts. They're the ones that can change policy. Listen, they're the ones that can make or break an entire community, okay? What do I mean by that? If your schools aren't performing, that means you have no workforce. No businesses are going to want to come there. Your home values go down. It can literally destroy an entire community, an entire city. So you ought to pay attention to who these school board members are. It may not be a sexy position, but you got to pay attention.
Agreed. I'm going to take a quick break I'm enjoying this. Thank you, Deborah. I am enjoying this conversation. Let me take a quick break and then I'll be right back. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
This year's been tough. but it's given me a lot of time to learn new skills through the internet.
I've been joining more classes during lockdown.
I'm doing an internship.
I taught myself how to play guitar.
So when people ask,
will I be able to learn online?
I feel like I'm ready.
Internet Essentials from Comcast has connected millions of families from low-income homes to the internet. So no matter what back to school looks like, students can be ready for anything. Learn more at comcast.com/Internet Essentials.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media. Want to buy black for the holidays? Word Radio has got you covered. WURD is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Visit wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining me, I have on the line Deborah Keys Wright and Devin Del Palacio, who is Vice President of the Board of Education from Tolleson Union High School District. His district consists of 7 high schools, a total of 13,000 students, and they're in Phoenix, Arizona. In their 100-year history, Mr. Del Palacio is the first African-American board member that they have. I'm smiling because I keep seeing it over and again. And we're talking about not just that, but the impact of COVID-19 on the students, educators, and communities of color. I think I know the answer to this, but Mr. Del Palacio, were you elected or appointed?
I was elected.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you were elected, right? And so Joseph Simmons wrote on Facebook Live post is just flying. Most school boards are controlled by one person. The other boards just go along to get along. Zero integrity on most school boards. Joseph, I love you, and to a certain extent that is right. That happens in some places, but no, sir. You would not believe the fighting that goes on behind the scenes because we don't always agree, right? When we come to a decision as a board unilaterally, it's because we've done all the work in the back room. We've ironed out the kinks. What this can't be. We talk about the Sunshine Law. We come out and we do all these things. We get board packets that we have to read at the end of every week, and then we start to ask the question. So why is this happening? Who is this over here? So it may seem like that to you, but behind the scenes, man, it's a ton of work. We don't get paid for it. But the integrity of that work is something that you cannot buy. And the fact of the matter is, Devin, and tell me if I'm correct, when you're a school board member, you have an opportunity to not just set laws, policies, but in the community. You can hear, your ear is to the ground, so you can hear things that people may want to hide from you at the school board level. People can tell you, the educators will come to you. The students and the families will come to you, right? So you're able to help them in a more informed manner, right?
Absolutely. Look, I got a strong relationship with my teachers association, with the parents in the community. Look, you are the closest thing on the ground to really understanding what's happening in the nucleus of these homes. And just real quick, I want to address Mr. Joseph Simmons' comment, because I'll tell you what, majority of school board members, over 70% are white males. Over 70% are white males. Over 60% are retired, okay? So if a majority of the people that are governing our school districts are old, white, male, retired folks, why do you think we see a lot of the issues we're seeing nationally and the lack of, will when it comes to equity and addressing these systemic barriers? Well, it's because we don't have folks that look like us in these positions that are actually doing the work. Now, Deborah travels all across the nation. She does wonderful work on equity, right? And she can probably tell you, again, majority of the boards don't look like us on this call. They just don't. And that's part of the problem. And the reason why part of the problem is, we keep talking about this, a lot of these positions are unpaid. So a young person like me who has a young family, most of the times we can't afford to do this work. It's like a second job. We can't afford to run for office and get elected. So that's one of the ways they keep people like us out of these positions. Okay, so there are systemic barriers that prevent people, good people, well-qualified people from actually getting into these positions and actually changing some things.
Agreed with you. So someone wanted to know, so Joseph again says, then ask him, why are most school districts failing? I think he answered that. Run by 70% white males and 60% are retired. When I was sitting on the school board for the 8 years that I was on and served at the state level, at the PSBA state level, when I tell you, when I would walk into the meetings, they would go, so exactly who are you? And every single time to a person, they would say, you don't even look like a school board member. What? You know, they have this, it is the strangest thing. Like, they expect school board members to not have a life, to just kind of sit around and smoke cigars and not create the policies and the shifts. So to see someone like you, Devin, running for office and getting into the place where you are, and you're also absolutely right, it costs money. We don't get paid to sit on the school board, but it costs us money. I had to raise money to get to pay for the signs, to cover all sorts of, to pay for advertisement, to go into people's homes. So you literally have to want to do this, and you have to be motivated by some sort of change that you want to see in the school district that you're serving. Not only that, if you're breaking the barrier, like I was only the second or the third black person ever on my school board when I ran, and that was back in 2007. You know, people will start to challenge you. They will leave nasty messages on your things. They'll try to say that you're not worthy of being on the board. It's a lot, and he's absolutely right. It takes so much time from your family and your children to create the kinds of policies. So you want to do this, do it, but do it with fidelity. Don't just get on there to say you're on the board now, because there's so much work to be done. So much work to be done.
And Andrea, can I just interject in here? I think we have to be careful spewing this concept that most schools are failing, public schools. That is not true. We're just repeating, I think, what people are saying. Are there some that are challenging? Absolutely. If all schools were failing, we would not have successful people graduating from college. And so we just have to be careful repeating that. And again, thank you, Devin, for sharing who is governing these districts. But we seem to focus on our black and brown board members and children as failing. But the statistics say who's governing, and they are governing over districts who the children do not look like them. And so what we have to do is make sure that the school board represents the community. And that's why it's so important to get, grow your own. You have to encourage people to run and get on these boards and make sure that it represents the community that is serving. There's no way you can even talk about equity with people who don't even believe that there's any problems with equity. And
I absolutely
there's a
agree.
lot of work there.
Absolutely agree. Being a school board member is a lot more difficult than it looks, which is why I always smile when I see people running for school board who have just no idea. To answer your question, Bernita, Francine, there are school board members that are paid in certain places across the country, like in Miami, Florida. Correct, Deborah?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
They are.
So there's
a full-time
some
job for them. Yeah.
Yes. So like in Miami, Florida, they get paid. There's a full-time job and they get a secretary. It doesn't happen all around the country. So that's, it's different in different places.
There are just a few, but we have to remember there are 90,000 school board members in this country, and the majority of them are not paid.
Thank you for letting
and I do want to say this. Andrea, you spot on, and Deborah, you're spot on. Okay, it's about the narrative we're telling our community. Okay, for those who don't know, there are more black folks who graduate college than there are that are locked up right now. Okay, It's about the narrative that we're sharing with the community. I see a comment here from brother Mr. Joseph Simmons, who said schools are accountable to the taxpayer and student, which is true, and not teachers and administrators. Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't take care of your teachers, what makes you think they're going to take care of our students? You see, when you become elected, you represent everybody in the community.
Right.
Everyone's a community member. That includes teachers, administrators, school bus drivers, cafeteria workers, security workers, because you know what? We've done surveys, and you know who the kids trust on campus the most? Cafeteria folks, security folks. So everyone who's a part of the campus plays a vital role to the education of our students. So, like I say, like it's been said here before, bad people are elected by good people who don't vote, okay?
Yes.
If you don't like your school board members, then vote. Bad people are elected by good people who don't vote, okay? I truly believe change does come through the ballot box, all right? But I got to tell you what, I've been doing this for 6 years, I got elected at 26. I'm now 33. Okay, I serve as the chairman of the National Black Council of School Board Members. Like, when I do this work, this is serious to me. I got skin in the game. I got kids. I got 2 daughters, beautiful young brown daughters. And I wanted to ensure, the reason why I got in this game is because I wanted to ensure that they could grow up in a state and be looked at for who they are and what they bring to the table, not the color of their skin, okay? So, you know, I just want to say that not all school board members are built the same. I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there.
Agreed. It's you know, it's so interesting because folks don't. People run for school boards, and they think they're running on a particular issue, and that we can't focus on all of it. But as a school board member, we have to see all of it. We can't just pick a particular issue. Like when I decided to run for the board, Devin, it was because the black and brown children were just, I felt they were not getting a fair shake. When I got on the board, I had to make sure all children got a fair shake while making sure the black and brown children got a fair shake. Listen to the teachers. There were educators who were sick and needed to be out, and they were getting a hard time from the then superintendent. And so then I had to go into the board room and say, this is what's going on. Why is this happening? Ask that question. And you're right. There has to be trust on all levels. I spend most of my time, Devin, you are so right, talking to the cafeteria workers. They let me know everything from the rooter to the tutor, and where all the bodies were hidden. The cafeteria workers and the cleaning staff, right? And the secretaries. They were the ones that were most valuable to me in the process in having the conversations about what was going on in the buildings. And so we as a people, and again, you're right, you know, we focus so much on what's going on, like in Philadelphia, where there's so much bad happening here. But I've consistently said to them, there's good happening in the Philadelphia schools too, because we see great things coming out of them. And so, and around the country, we are doing well. We, as black and brown folks, we are graduating at a, not, even when they try to hold us back in schools at the K-12 level, we go on to college, we struggle a little bit, and we figure it out, and we become doctors, right? Masters, bachelor's degrees, and doctors. So we're making it work. We're absolutely making it work.
Absolutely. And our kids are making it work, too. We got to give our kids credit. They have so much grit and determination. So every time we say they're failing, what you're telling them is the kids are failing. And once they hear that, they might believe that. So be careful the type of, you know, words that you're utilizing that can manifest reality, because our kids are doing their job. Who's not doing the job are the adults and the other elected officials who have the responsibility to fully fund education to ensure that we're addressing these systemic barriers.
Agreed. When you see the pushback on board members and the work that that is being done, what does that say to you? How does that make you feel, Devin?
Well, I tell you what, a lot of it, I think, just comes down to a lack of understanding and knowledge of what's really going on. How do things work? How are, you know, issues addressed, et cetera? Like with the COVID situation, there were a lot of parents who were upset that we, you know, went virtual, right? And that we didn't allow our schools. And there were a lot of parents who were upset that their kids couldn't play football.
So you're having that too, huh? Okay.
Oh, yeah. These parents, some of these parents got to be honest with themselves. Listen, if you're worried about your kid getting a scholarship senior year and they weren't approached by a college their sophomore or junior year, chances are they're probably not going to make it. And that's a real conversation you have to have with your kid, and you need to develop a plan B and a plan C. We can't always rely on sports to save our children. We have to be able to, you know, guide our kids on a path, different pathways to different careers and how they, on where they want to be with their lives. And so I had a lot of parents that were upset about that. I had a lot of parents who were upset about the closing. But you know what? In my school district, we've had 3 deaths thus far. One student, a sophomore, and I got a notice just this morning that one of our custodians passed away at 1 a.m. this morning. And prior to that, we lost a football coach. So let me tell you something. This is very real. These people have families. And I myself lost my aunt a week and a half ago to COVID, okay? This is destroying communities, destroying families. And when we talk about the trauma that this does for our kids, a lot of people are saying, well, our kids are the trauma of not being in school. You know what? What about the trauma of them losing a teacher when they log on to that Zoom class Monday morning and Ms. Jenkins is no longer there? We have to inform the class that she passed away from COVID. What does that do? Because now we didn't have to bring in mental health counselors to address these realities. And so, I mean, look, there's no silver bullet. There's no silver bullet to how we approach this. But the name of the game is to preserve life, and that's just where we're at right now.
I see here that you are the you're currently the director of community outreach for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Arizona. So you've been at this. You really have some skin in this game. You really do, because your passion is coming through. You're not just talking about it, you're being about it for the children inside and outside of those schools. So that makes a huge difference. What are you hearing from the educators as it applies to COVID? Are they feeling as if they're being left out or being told that they should show up to school whether they have comorbidities or not? Because I'm hearing that a lot. Some are saying they want to go back to school because they miss their children despite COVID, and others are saying they don't want to go back to school because they're afraid. What are you hearing?
Yeah, so you know what? Arizona is experiencing, I think nationally, we're experiencing a teacher shortage. And specifically here in my state, these teachers are pushing back. They're pushing back because they know it's not safe. They understand it's not safe to go back. And you know what? I'll never forget what a teacher shared with me right before we went virtual. She says, listen, Mr. Del Palacio, listen, I'm dying to go back to work, but I don't want to die because I went back to work. Okay? Let me say it again. She says she's dying to go back to work, but doesn't want to die because she went to work. Our teachers want to teach. This is what they went to school for. They want to do this, but a lot of them have families, they have children, they have vulnerable people that live in their house, and they don't want to bring this to them to disrupt their unit. And so I agree with them. But a lot of teachers are speaking up, and for those board members who aren't listening, guess what? These teachers are taking action. They're doing sick days. They're doing things to send a strong message like, hey, our lives count in this too. We have a voice in this too. That's the reason why we can't ignore them, because if we don't have teachers to teach, who will teach our kids?
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Joseph, I'm hold on one second, Devin. Joseph, so Joseph just wrote, Mother, I love you, but these guests not so much. Baba Horace and Mama Gail, so have the real stats in Philadelphia. So these are folks from different parts of the country, and education is different in different parts of the country. And I want you all to see what is possible outside of Philadelphia. The stats are in Philadelphia. We see them. So Devin, just so you understand, there are at least 20 schools or more in Philadelphia that are at, if I'm correct, because I remember talking to Baba Harris, 0% proficient in Philadelphia. And so the frustration, what you see here on social media is the frustration that's coming from the folks that have to deal with it. But Joseph, they're showing you how things can be done differently in different parts of the country. I want you to hear that. I don't think he sounds like a union rep. I know, I have been at this thing for a long time. I believe he is passionate about the children and the families that he serves. And I don't blow smoke, right? I've never blown smoke. I'm not going to start blowing smoke now. What I'm hearing is passion for the people and the children that he's serving, and that what's happening in his school district, he's making sure that things are working there. Now, if we're being solution oriented, we can take what he is saying, right, and try to apply some of it to the Philadelphia school district, which means we have to fight for an elected school board, which means we have to start holding folks accountable, not just at the superintendent level, but the people within his cabinet, which means we have to continue to fight for the children that are there, that are not getting what they need. It is abhorrent what is happening, but I also want us to pay attention that there is good coming out of the Philadelphia school district too. It's not all just bad stuff. And so while I never want to ignore the bad things that are going on, I also want us to see both and. See the people that are coming out of the school district that are doing well. Because when they graduate from Philadelphia and go on to college and do well and become PhDs and have master's degree programs, what we're saying to them is nothing good came out of here, so your college degrees don't mean anything. And we see that happen too many times. Too many times. Oh, you went to Cheney? You're not saying anything because you went to Cheney. That's not a good school. Or you went to Lincoln, and we have to stop that narrative because we want our children to continue to strive and grow. So yes, there are issues. Yes, I am not taking it away. I am frustrated as hell too with some of the things that are going on in Philadelphia School District. But the Philadelphia School District is a microcosm of not electing the kinds of people that needs to sit into office, a microcosm of folks just, not paying attention. I had a conversation the other day with someone who was running for office, and someone said to this person, oh, it's a great position to be in because it'll make you powerful. And I was like, no, no, no. That is not what we get on school boards for. You get on school boards to set policy, to create a difference, and if you're getting on the school board and you are not working to be uncomfortable and to ask the kinds of questions that's needed to be asked to work on behalf of all the children, then I'm going to ask that you don't run for this position. That is not what these positions are for, you know? And so to not get paid for a position and that you have to be elected for and to do what you need to do, man. And you hear the passion in my voice? That's because I've sat in the space. I know what somebody sounds like when they're running a game. I'm telling you, Joseph, you're going to have to trust me on this one. I am telling you, he's not running the game. I'm telling you. You're going to have to trust Mother. Let me take a quick break, and then we'll be back. Because this is a good conversation. You got the people fussing and complaining. But that's good, because dialogue is good, right? Hold on one second. The time is 2:41, and the temperature is 46 degrees. Sponsored by Beach Companies, serving the community for 30 years. For more information, check out beachcompanies.com. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
Looking for employment? JD's Auto Body and Painting is hiring. They have 2 positions if you have 5 years experience in auto body and framework. Also seeking painter with 5 years experience. And if you have experience as an A or B assembler, JD's Auto Body can be the place for you. Please call JD's Auto Body at 215-848-5949 or email jdsautobodyandpainting@comcast.net.
WURD Radio would like to thank everyone who made our 2020 Empowerment Experience a tremendous success. Special thanks to our sponsors, PICO, Keystone First, the Pennsylvania Lottery, Einstein Healthcare Network, TML Communications, and Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Thank you to all of the guests, hosts, participants, staff, and listeners who helped us to honor radio icon Cody Anderson. For more information on the 2020 Empowerment Experience and for on-demand content, visit WURDradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio, streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I don't know a whole lot of everything, but I do know what a school board does, right? So let me answer some of these questions. Joseph said, most school districts have bigger budgets than the city itself. I don't know if that is true. The school board that I sat on had a budget of $132 million. A good percentage of that went to wages and for health insurance for the teachers, as we should. We need people to teach the children, right? And he says a lot of school controls a lot of bread via contracts, bid and no bid. So, again, remember, I can't speak for the other school districts, but I can speak for the one that I am in. Every time we got a bid for a contract, we would the school district would go through to make sure that the people do their due justice. The people would come and present to us, and we took the lowest bid. We didn't take the one that because it was somebody such and such friend. And we always ask, is this person related to anybody that you know? It comes again with working with integrity, Joseph. And so when we say, if you don't like how school boards run, if you don't like how the communities run for them yourself, and you will see what I am talking about, right? We've literally, forced folks off the board who came on there with an agenda to do the things that they weren't supposed to do. So, Lord, Devin and Deborah, Jesus. And so the thing is that I think people are seeing school boards from an angle of, most school districts and we have to be careful. And it's hard, right? Because I get frustrated too sometimes, but we have to be careful in not saying most everything, because I have seen the system up close. I've seen how it works, and they're absolutely right. If 70% of them, and I do mean the board conference is lily white. I've never seen so many white people in my life. Right? And so they're the ones that are controlling what happens. If you want something different, then do something different, and let's run for these school boards and do what we need to do. Is it lonely? Yes, because you're sitting on the board and you're on the outside kind of looking in, just sitting there. But if you stand your ground and do what you're supposed to do we have some people that of color that get on the board and sit there and start cozying up to the administration and not working for their people? Yes. But this is why I keep saying to you all, look at people's core values before you look at their level of expertise, because your core values will tell you who these folks are every single time. Right? So if we get caught up in the flashy, if we get caught up in the fact that they have 400 degrees and we forget the fact that they're a snake behind closed doors in the way they deal with their family members and friends, they're going to be a snake as a leader too. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? So all those things.
Yes. I'm so glad you share that, and especially the part about the budget. You know, there's an assumption that, there's multi-million, some are billion-dollar budgets.
Right.
But 80 to 85% of that is for human capital. It is not for the, quote, education. And that is what most of the community doesn't understand. They see these multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar budgets and think they can do everything that they need to do. But that is just not how it's set up. And so do we have to do something about funding for schools? Absolutely. But again, if people don't vote the right individuals in the office, we're going to continue to get what we have. And that's the unfortunate thing.
So Devin, he wants us to. Joseph is talking about a minute today. He said, "Please have them address the education as a right issue."
Well, let me tell you this. First and foremost, and you know what? I appreciate the comments by Mr. Joseph Simmons. It's all love, first of all. I'm not mad at you because, look, I'm disappointed to hear that there's 20 schools that are zero proficient. And
it's horrible.
That doesn't compute to me, okay? So I want you to understand that you're not my enemy. We're not enemies here. I'm in the same fight trying to ensure that not only everyone's kid, my own kids, okay, have access to a quality education. And you know what? In terms of, I see the comment that sounds like you're a union rep, not a school board member. If fighting for people to make a living wage, if fighting for our kids to have the best resources, if representing my parents and those without a voice makes me a union rep, then I guess I'm a union rep because that's what I do, all right? I speak up for everybody and those without a voice, period, okay? There's no hold bars on who I represent in the community because I was elected by everybody. So I just wanted to clear that up. And then second, my school district budget is definitely smaller than the city's budget, for sure, okay? Most schools, and I'm talking in Arizona, per pupil spending is higher on our inmates than it is per student. Let me go ahead and repeat that for you. We spend more per inmate to house an inmate than we do per student. Now, imagine if we took those dollars and we were actually proactive and invested more in equitable education instead of inmates in prison. Maybe things would be different, right? So you can't just put all the pressure on the school board and expect them to solve all the world's problems. Yes, do we need quality board members? Absolutely. Yes, are there some that look like us that aren't doing nothing? Of course, we know not all skin folk are kinfolk. We know that. But the point is that there are a lot of us out here trying to do this great work, and we shouldn't penalize them for that.
Right. Well, let's talk about education as a right, because it's a conversation that we have all the time, too. And when you sit at the school board level, we hear things like, well, the stats say that the black and brown children are not learning at the same level. This is why we got to run for these positions, because then you're going to say, oh, what's that you looking at, right? And why aren't they learning? Are you opening doors for them to get into the advanced placement classes and to the honors classes? Are you making sure that they're as challenged as their peers? What are you doing differently with them that you aren't doing with other folks? So let's address education as a right. What does that mean to the both of you?
Deborah, you want to go ahead and go first, and I'll go after you?
Sure. Yeah, and it is the right. And this is where, and Andre, you mentioned a little bit of it, the inequities. Are we giving our children what they need? No, we're not. And COVID has really removed the veil of the inequities that are in the school system. Yes, you may have several AP or honors classes, but what are some of the obstacles that you're putting in place for black and brown children to get into that classroom? And so a lot of these behaviors and policies and practices need to be dismantled. If we don't dismantle them in the school system, education will not be given to everyone at the level that they need it. It will not. It'll continue to be what it always has been. This system that we currently have was never intended to educate black and brown children. And so how can we even close the education gap using the same system that causes it? It can't be. And so is there a lot of work that everyone needs to do? Absolutely, on every level, who's in the classroom, who are the teachers who are in front of the children, the administrators, to the boardroom. Absolutely, everyone plays a role, and no one gets a pass. Everyone needs to be held accountable for what they're delivering to these children, so that they're not being given a certain type of education based upon their zip code, which we know that this happens. But who's being the advocate for these children when we know that this happens?
What are you saying, Devin?
Yeah, well, I'm saying this. I'm doubling down on it, that education is a civil right. Education is a civil right. All kids living here in the U.S. have the right to a free public education. The Constitution requires that all kids are given equal education opportunity, okay, no matter what their race, ethnic, religion, sex, whatever, they're rich or poor, citizen or non-citizen, okay? So even if even if the kids are here illegally, it doesn't matter. Everyone has the right to go to a public school, and that's what it's all about. And we also have a right as school board members to be able to address those systemic barriers that we know exist, because Deborah's right. Public schools weren't necessarily built for all of us, for people that look like us. That's not how this game started. So that means we have a lot of work to do with dismantling these barriers that we know exist, some of which you brought up here, Andrea, such as the lack of access to advanced courses, high suspension rates, so on and so forth. And so as school members, we do have a duty to dismantle those barriers that have been there since inception of public schools. But yes, education certainly is a civil right, and all of us must treat it and demand to be treated as such.
It's difficult to. We're in such challenging times right now, and people are so frustrated about what they're not getting. I can see both sides of this conversation, right? And so when you're not sitting at the school board and you're looking in and you're hearing some of the stuff that folks are saying, then it makes sense. Except when you sit in, you have to say, look, if the stuff is going on, and let me tell you, shenanigans happen everywhere, and you don't like it, either put somebody up to run or you run yourself, right? He's saying education is not a constitutional amendment. So in Pennsylvania, they tell you that at the federal level, that education, a free and appropriate public education, is what they're saying that every child should have access to in this country. That I know for a fact. Am I wrong, Deborah and Devin?
No, that's correct.
No,
that's correct.
You're right.
Okay.
Listen, there's a right. There's a right to listen to an equal education, right? An equal education opportunity, right? It's one of the most valuable rights we have. Okay. Let us not forget the Supreme Court landmark decision, right? Brown versus Board of Education, which struck down segregation in public schools. So we know education is a public right. It's a civil right. I mean, there's no debate.
Got it. Listen, this was a riveting conversation. I wish we could continue. Thank you so much, Devin Jones Del Palacio and Deborah Keys Wright. Both of you were just so wonderful. We talked about diversity and inclusion, the impact of COVID on students, educators, and communities of color. It is one that we must consistently work on if we want to get some changes for our children. And the only way it's going to happen is if we start to uproot the very system that's in place right now. And that system is difficult to uproot, incredibly difficult to uproot. I can't even begin to tell you where to start with it, but we got to keep going. And so I want us to work together as much as we possibly can and to find common ground, because at the end of the day, the most important thing in all of this are the children that we want to serve. Thank you both so much, and enjoy your holiday, okay?
Thank you. You do the same.
All right,
Thank
bye-bye.
you, Andre. Hey, I appreciate you for giving us a platform and a voice. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome, sir. And you continue to do the work and stay true to what you're doing. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Hey, listen, yes, ma'am, all the way through and through. So I want to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday, and my heart goes out to everyone who's lost a loved one this past year, okay? Please be safe out there. Thank you so much.
All right, you're quite welcome. Bye-bye. Want to buy black for the holidays? We have got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts too. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. Woody, as soon as we get off the break, I'm going to talk to you. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on wordradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. We will be right back after these messages.
At PICO, we know one thing is certain. Times have changed. From kitchen classrooms to couch conference calls, searching for a new job, or new ways to keep your family connected. These changes have become a part of our reality. That's why our teams are working 24/7 to meet the needs of our communities. So no matter how much things change, you can depend on PICO to be there with the energy and help you need to power through. Learn more at pico.com.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. Wishing you and yours the very best this holiday season from the entire WURD family. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Progressive and proud. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to the show. It is such a hot show. You all, wow. Thank you so much for the conversation on Facebook Live. Thank you all. Just thank you all. Even when we agree to disagree, thank you all so much for keeping the conversations going so that we know what we're talking about out here as it applies to our children. When I bring in people from different school boards from across the country to talk about diversity and inclusion and equity, I want you all to see how things work in different parts of the country. School boards are not monolithic. They don't just all operate the same. And it depends on the community. It depends on the income level. It just depends on so many things on a school board of what's happening there for the people. So Mike from New Jersey, how are you, Mike?
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Well, I'm alive. How are you,
Well, that's
sir?
a good thing. That's a good thing.
What's going on?
On and discuss some disturbing things that I had heard, where it sounds like white people are the enemy of black people. You know, the school board situation, I have a little bit of, with my son's off to college now, all that kind of good stuff. But I was never on the school board, but I attended lots of meetings. And now, again, I'm speaking about New Jersey. I'm not talking about Philadelphia. But where is the parents' responsibility here? In other words, where are the people showing up? In my community, the school board meetings were packed. The parent-teacher conferences were packed. I have a niece who teaches in the Philadelphia School District. She has a master's degree. She's been there for about 18, 20 years. And she says when parent-teacher conferences, she's lucky. She's lucky if she gets one or two mothers to show up. Now, I use the word mothers because she says it's virtually impossible to get any followers to show up. She says, and this all gets back to, it sounds like you're putting and you and your guests were putting all the responsibility. It's all on the school board, and it's all because they're white. I'm sorry, but that is
Mike,
not the case.
Mike, were you listening to me at all, Mike? Because I said to you that I sat on a school board, and I was actually defending school board members. What we said was most of the school board members, 70% of them are white, and 60% of them are retired. That's no fault of anybody's own. What I said was people need to get up and run. If they don't like what they see or if they don't like what's happening at their school board level, they should run. Did you hear me say that?
I 100%, I did hear you say that. But there was but the conversation was more geared towards we need to get these white people because it's the white people's fault. It's not the white people's fault. It's not the black people's fault. It's everyone's. It's everyone's fault. It starts at home with the parents. That is first and foremost. If the parents aren't making sure their children are getting up and getting dressed for school, making sure they have food in their stomach, making sure they're being held accountable. And this is black or white, green. I don't care what color you are. This is all students. That if the parents aren't responsible, and that's where most of the problems coming from someone who, again, who's been a parent for a very long time, who is very, very involved, again, who has members of his family that are teachers. It starts in the home that if you send homework home and the kid comes in and doesn't do the homework and gives the teacher a hard time because the parent or parents don't back the teacher up, it's very difficult for the teachers to make sure the children are learning.
So, Mike, I hear you, and I'm going to suggest to you that you're hearing it and you're coming from the same way you thought we were coming from a different lens. I'm going to suggest that you're coming from your lens. So what happens when you can't keep a job where you're only getting paid $7 an hour, so you have to work 4 or 5 jobs just to keep the roof over your head and to pay the bills? You know,
I would say this. You shouldn't be having children. I mean, that gets back to personal responsibility. You shouldn't be, if you're in the position where you can't afford to fend for yourself and pay for yourself, you shouldn't be having children. And we all know, again, let's keep it professional here, but we all know how children are made. Children aren't bought, nor children are just produced. There takes actions between a male and a female to produce a child. So if you can't take care of yourself, if you don't have the education to be able to produce for yourself and be able to go out and get a job that pays a decent living wage, why are you having children? And then on top of that, why are you having multiple children?
So then, Mike, it comes back then to the very people that you're talking about can't get a decent wage. It comes back to them not being educated properly, right? So lots of people come out of schools and are not being educated properly. Is that their fault too?
It's partially their fault, and it's partially their parents' fault as well.
So let me ask you this: the teachers have no responsibility in this, Mike?
No, ma'am. I did not do that whatsoever.
All right. So you think it's the parents and the students themselves and the teachers that are supposed to be teaching them to make sure that they get what they need. It's not the educators have no skin in this game.
No, I'm not saying that whatsoever. What I'm not hearing, when I hear this conversation come up a lot, it's constantly teachers. I never hear, or it's very rare that the conversation is as heated or is as poignant when it comes to parents. Parents.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to suggest to you, Mike. I want you to listen to my show more often. You'd be shocked. You will be. It all happens here on this show, and I hold everybody's feet to the fire, and we talk about everything. I've got to go because Dr. Farley is on, but I want to thank you for calling in and giving your opinion. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am. Have a great day.
All right. You too. Bye-bye. Woody, let me get you quickly. Dr. Farley is on. How are you, sir?
Well, don't you know I'm quick again? Boy, I tell you, I'm a quickie no matter what. This girl do not give me no time. I don't understand it.
Woody,
Listen, girl, I appreciate the white gentleman that called Mike, but what is going on is back to cultural differences and how we can be ignorant about each other's cultures. Like I said to you, I'm not an African American. You see, an African American is a non-immigrant. You are an immigrant. You are from the Jamaica. You come here with a good 1 to 5th grade education, and you build on it after you get here. You take advantage of the colleges. So, Mike, if you're listening, hopefully you are. The issue of the educational structure in this country was designed for the children of the former chattel slaves never to learn to read. It was the law not to learn to read. So when they were saying you have a right to an education, no, chattel slaves did not have a right. And just 1800s, you get freed. That was just yesterday. That's not that long ago, but 400 years of it being against the law to read. That has psychological damages. That has damages that will run through the bloodline, and it's proven, as I shared with you before, epigenetics. Look it up, Mike. Dr. Avery August out of Cornell University. It shows you that this passes down through the bloodline. So it's not something that you can just cure overnight. There are mothers and grandmothers and grandfathers that can't read, write, spell, or count. Therefore, it's hard for the parent to teach. Some of these parents are very embarrassed that they can't read.
So then if we follow Mike's logic, then they shouldn't have children, right? So this is what happens when I say,
God gave you the right to have children. What Mike is saying is wrong. You can't tell somebody not to have a child just because they were cheated out of an education by the country in which took them in. I say that now that you're a citizen and you're looked upon as a citizen, all these laws now become true to you now. But when they say brown or black, no, I'm talking about black people, the children of the former chattel slaves, nobody else but them. They were the ones that were cheated, and not only that, that same spirit hovers over this country today, and it is affecting inner city schools all around the country. Inner city people are graduating high school with diplomas as a receipt for educational services never truly rendered. And the reason that is, Mike, is because it was designed that way. You were not supposed to teach black people to to read, write, spell, or count when they were chattel slaves, and the spirit continues to go. That's why we had to fight through all the civil rights and everything else. So it's a continual fight, and it's lasting up until today. As we speak, Mike, there are millions that can't read, write, spell, or count that happen to be mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers. So hopefully you think about that and check out Dr. Avery August, Epigenetics. That would help.
All right. Thank you so much, Woody. You have a good holiday, okay?
You too.
All right, bye-bye. Oh, my God, poor Dr. Farley. Thomas Farley, MD, MPH Health. Health Commissioner Thomas Farley, MD, MPH, is a physician trained in pediatrics and epidemiology who has worked in a variety of roles in public health. And so, Dr. Farley, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, Lord. This has been, it's so interesting, Dr. Farley, when people get on the side that they think is right for them, one way or the other. It is so hard to get people to see both and I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. But let's talk about this, because now I'm about to get the firing squad at me again, because we're going to talk about COVID-19 update on the vaccine. There are folks calling me saying I shouldn't tell people to take the vaccine and the safety practices for the holiday season. Dr. Farley, tell us what the updates are for Philadelphia. Give us the update on the vaccine, and then what the safety practices are. What are you telling people for the holiday season, sir?
So we got good things and bad things happening at the same time. On the one hand, the bad thing is that the case rates are almost as high as they've ever been. I just announced today 89 newly identified deaths today, like in the past week. So that's really bad. The virus is still here. It's still very dangerous. On the good side, though, is that case rates are falling a little bit. And more important than that, the vaccine has arrived. We now have two different vaccines that have been approved. There's one made by a company called Pfizer, another made by a company called Moderna. They're very, very similar. They're both very effective, 95% effective at preventing infection. They can cause side effects, but they're very safe. And so right now we are providing the vaccine to people, and we're starting with those that are highest risk for acquiring the infection or spreading to someone else who might have a serious infection, like healthcare workers. And we'll be soon going to what we call frontline essential workers, like police officers and firefighters and grocery store workers, people who expose a lot of folks during the day. And then eventually this vaccine will be available to everybody in the city of Philadelphia. So I do want to encourage everybody, when your time comes up in the queue and it's available to you, that you take the vaccine. The vaccine is safe and the virus is dangerous.
Dr. Farley, you are on WURD radio, where a great percentage of the listening audience are black and brown people. I am sure you are very aware. I had Dr. Rachel Levin on earlier this week or late last week, and we spoke about this very thing, that many black and brown people are not only not willing to take the vaccine, they think it's a conspiracy, they believe it's there to harm them. How are we managing this so we can stem the tide of people dying or getting sick?
Well, so first of all, it is completely understandable why people would be worried about this vaccine. It is a new vaccine. It was developed fairly quickly. On the other hand, the virus itself we know is dangerous. We know that the virus itself is preferentially killing black and brown people. Many more deaths per capita in African Americans in Philadelphia than whites or other racial groups. And the vaccine itself in the studies has been given to tens of thousands of people, including thousands of African Americans, and has proven to be safe. So, when you have to make a decision, even with your uncertainty, what am I safer to do? Get the vaccine, which is new, or to risk getting the virus, which we know is dangerous? It makes sense for people to go with the vaccine. So now what we are trying to do to talk to folks who have that legitimate worry about that is just be very honest about all the information, say what decisions we think make sense, and provide everybody answer to their questions, and then hope people do what makes sense to them, which is the right thing. We're also working through, recognized community leaders like Dr. Ayla Stanford, who has really risen to prominence as a person doing testing. She got vaccinated along with her testing staff and spoke very eloquently about this, and very emotionally in the right way. She's a great role model for everybody.
I agree. I agree. She was the one that helped me to decide that should the testing continue to be safe, when our time comes, my husband and I would take it. It is very true that black and brown people, would listen to a doctor that looks like them, because we've had such horrible, and I do mean horrible, Dr. Farley. I don't know what can be done in the system. Just this past Saturday, a friend of mine was at CHOP with her child, and the doctor was so condescending. He had stage 4 lymphoma, went into remission, and got sick again this past weekend. And the doctor on call was so horrible to them, And we see this happening in the medical system all the time, which is why you see black and brown folks not trusting what happens here. Tell people what the safety practices are for the holiday season, and then tell me, just me, you're talking to me now, what can be done to get medical professionals training in the way they deal with people of different hues?
Yeah, so the holidays are coming up, obviously Christmas and New Year's. We just went through Thanksgiving, and things did not work out very well on Thanksgiving. Although we recommended that people not get together with their extended family over a meal because it was risky, and many people took that advice, but a lot of people didn't take the advice, and we had lots of transmission that happened over Thanksgiving. We saw a big spike in cases starting about 5 days later, right when we expected it. Probably thousands of people got infected on that one day. It changed the whole course of the epidemic. I do not want to see that again over Christmas or over New Year's. So we're telling people, celebrate the holidays, but celebrate the holidays with your immediate household members only, the people that you are already exposed to every single day, not with your extended family. Don't invite people over to your house. You can visit with them over Zoom, but don't bring them to your house. Don't go to their house. Then don't travel. So traveling also puts things at risk. And I know that's tough for people. The holidays are just a wonderful time of year when we get together with our relatives, but not this year. You really don't want to pass that infection on to your favorite cousin or your aunt or your uncle or your grandmother who was vulnerable and could die from that infection. Then, as to your other point, I don't know what we in the health department can do to address doctors, nurses, or other medical staff who are condescending to their patients. I do believe that they're the exception rather than the rule. I do think that, I've worked with a lot of medical care people over the years. They're in the business, in the job, because they want to help, they want to treat people well. We all have inherent biases that we grow up with that we're unaware of. I'm sure a lot of people do things that they shouldn't do. I'm sure that sort of cultural competency training, if it hasn't been done, it probably should be done. We'd probably meant to go through it. But it's, society is where it is. It's probably society doesn't end at the hospital. But I do think, by and large, the folks in the healthcare system just want everyone to be as healthy as possible, no matter what color they are.
All right. And what happens when people are treated absolutely horribly? What is the recourse for people when they're not being treated well in the medical system? Is there a place for that?
The first place really should be with the medical care provider. And I know all hospitals would have an ombudsman in places where they will receive complaints. And, I know the leadership of these facilities, and they would take those complaints seriously.
Okay. All right. So, oh, my Lord, you've given us the safety practices. You've given us the update on the vaccine and the COVID-19 Philadelphia update. What is next for us in Philadelphia as we move out of this holiday? When can people start to take a look at the reopening of the city and the state?
Well, we will probably let some of our restrictions we have in place now expire on January 4th. Some other ones expire on January 15th, assuming that case rates don't go wild between now and then. And, step by step, we'll gradually ease back on the restrictions if the case counts continue to fall. But, there's one other thing I do want to get in here, and that is that, we want people to wear masks when they're around other people. And we can't say often enough how important masks are. And it's boring for me to just say wear a mask. So we're trying to show people how to do it and to make it a little bit fun. So we have our Mask Up THL campaign is something that you've seen before. It's on the side of buses. It's elsewhere. We're going to continue to do those messages. We've got videos out there of real people from Philadelphia wearing masks. What we're going to do now is we're asking people to post a picture of themselves wearing a mask on social media, a nice creative mask, and use the hashtag THL Mask Video, THL Mask Video. Post that on social media. We're going to look at those, And the ones that look the best to us, that are creative, that are fun, we love, we're going to include in a video. So if you want to be famous, get yourself a great mask, post a picture of yourself on social media, and you may appear in one of our videos. And through all that process, everybody will be talking and thinking about masking more. And a simple thing as a mask, that's going to be really the biggest protecting thing we can do until we get the vaccine.
Mm-hmm. And so what you're doing is the messaging, if they hear it over and over again, we'll get more and more people to wear it. Makes sense. It makes sense. So you find it in a fun, creative way. So they'll end up in a video, possibly end up in a video.
Yep.
Wow. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to this, sir?
That's, the vaccine is great. I do think it is the end game for this epidemic, this terrible epidemic, but it's not going to control it immediately. It's going to be weeks or months. So we are stuck with the distancing and the masks and the restrictions until that happens. So I know it's tough for all of us. We have COVID fatigue. But if you can hang in there a little longer with these safety precautions, then we can survive until that vaccine kicks in. So right now, think masks, and then when it gets available to you, think vaccine.
Okay, so again, I'm going to say post a picture of themselves and hashtag PHL mask video.
PHL mask video is the hashtag, yep.
Okay. Hashtag. Okay. Most creative mask you can find.
Yep. Have some fun with it.
Yeah, have some fun with it. Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas Farley. Always a pleasure talking to you. You have a good holiday, okay?
All right. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Prince, let me take you before I, because there's so much is going on the show today. What's going on, Prince?
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Ooh, child.
I know. Hey, it don't stop for you. I mean, you engaged. Folks start to engage in conversation. So I just don't. My state senator gets on the line, and if everybody's not in a predicament of the stimulus situation, then why haven't he talked about helping the ones who aren't in the stimulus predicament? Like, why can't he make some kind of concession, since he's the state senator, for the parking authority not to be booting and towing the poorest people in the poorest big cities during the holidays? So why don't he have a special service at his office that folks can call and get some relief? And then I would like to also ask him, when is he going to stop these bikes riding up and down the street 40, 50 at a time, all through traffic and stuff like that? If this is the state, and he's the state senator, opposed to pumping his chest out about where he's been and Washington and all that stuff, that might be great for him, 50 years in office. But that doesn't do anything for us that are suffering this injustice in the streets of Philadelphia. So don't tell me about no little bit of money. You complain about a little bit of money, but you still get a paycheck. So you ain't getting the $600. You ain't getting the $300. You getting whatever $100,000 salary you get. And I'm also confused because this pastor come on with the white, he come on with the senator. Is it because he makes more money than the average parishioner? Why is it so important to hear from him and hear his voice in reference to what the poor citizens do? And I have this fundamental issue. I don't see them on the street corner. I don't see them in the hood. I see them using media, and I see them using different sources, but I don't see them in the neighborhood. Matter of fact, the pastor church, everybody in there carry a gun. Everybody is certified to carry guns. Deacons, security guards, everybody in there. I was at the training class, they was all getting trained to carry guns. So if we start to, if you want to help us as a bad people, then why is everybody, we believe in the same God you believe in, everybody in your church is armed? Come on, let's stop talking at us and start talking to us. It's so unfair. And ain't nobody my age, standing up talking to these guys this way. But I'm a beast. The worst you can do to me is come to me the wrong way. So it ain't don't really matter to me. You know what I mean? The politics of Philadelphia is beginning to turn into the have against the have-not. Tell us what to do, and we supposed to do it with no relief, with no help, with no support. That is ridiculous, Andrea. And I'm telling you, you causing a major problem out here. I'm telling you, these politicians are causing a major problem. You know why? Because the stuff that's happening to the average resident of Philadelphia, they are insulated from it. They are guarded from it. I've not seen not one person come and tell the bride is not the bride. tell them not to loot. I don't even see them go to hospital when people get shot, but they go when cops get shot. So, Andrea, they turn into the have against the have-not. I'm telling you.
So let me ask you this, because if you were listening to the interview, I asked them this, both of them. I said, so I hear you, but what happens to the people who are consistently struggling, right? Pastor Waller says, you know, to keep the faith, and Senator Hughes says, look, we have to continue to rise up and to do what we need to do.
Both of them take a check home. Both of them live better than the average bear. So to keep that, have faith in not eating, have faith in more people commit suicide during this holiday season than any other holiday. You see, and it's the wrong message. It's to be more like, where you at? Let me come to your needs. You keep running to the seniors. I get that. But the seniors, nowadays, you got the young people that are becoming homeless. You got college-educated people.
I'm telling you, I'm seeing it happen. You're right.
Right. And so
you're absolutely right.
The seniors are already good because all the politicians and the churches got these senior homes, and it's based on tax credits, and so they on fixed income. So they're good. But you got young people who are not competing against the young white people in this city right here, and I'm telling you, in 10 years, it's going to be a mess. And so you're right. One of them saying pray on it, and the other one saying stay strong. We are already strong. You know what I mean? How about them 500 families that has no justification for them 500 murders? You tell them to stay strong. I ain't seen you go to one family, Senator, and have her on TV and say, we're gonna fix this problem here. No, stop coming us talking to us about this trash right here. The lifers, they politicians. And guess what? I ain't got nothing personal against him. So he I don't care if he take this person, he shouldn't, but I ain't got nothing personal. Just all I'm saying is that we can't keep experiencing this dilemma and think that it's not going to turn around and be a bad situation for folks. Because you're going to have to answer to it. You're going to have to explain. You know what I mean? And the pastor, I'm trying to figure out, a mile from where the pastor church is, they had over 50 homicides in that neighborhood. Germantown, Martin Luther King, that area. So if anything, why he's not coming up with a plan that eradicates them homicides in that area right there? You know what I mean? Why he ain't on Germantown and Shelton with his crusade and stuff like that? Why he in front of the stop and goes? Why he not out there with a camera, because he can afford it, in front of the stop and goes asking the young black people who may not be as smart or as intelligent or may have fallen into a system, hey, you know you shouldn't support that. You know you shouldn't be drinking alcohol at 7 o'clock in the morning. Or ask the congressman, how come that store's open 7 o'clock in the morning selling that?
With outside alcohol. All right, Prince, hold on. Let me take a quick break. Don't hang up. I want to keep talking to you. Can you hang on for a second?
Yes.
All right, hold on. Lord, you all just threw everything at me today. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
This health and humanitarian crisis has shaken us all, as neighbors and as a nation. At Bank of America, we came together as a company and as a community with an unwavering commitment to advance racial equality and economic opportunity. We're thankful for the tireless efforts of our employees, partners, healthcare, and essential workers in the communities we serve. And we remain fully committed to the work ahead in 2021. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
I'm Councilman Curtis Jones Jr. Right now, the best way to show brotherly love and sisterly affection is by keeping our social distance. If you keep your social distance 6 feet apart at all times, it lessens the chance that I spread the coronavirus to you or that you spread it to me. You must also wear a mask to cover your face. To receive updates about what Philly is doing, text COVID-PHL to 888-777.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I told you all yesterday, and this is my last week for the year, 2020. You all are making me earn every second of this time that I am on the air. It has been nonstop since I got on here at 1 o'clock. Okay, Prince, are you there?
I am. And you know what? These sound bites coming from these council people, we hear them on URD. So why they don't spend the money to pay to put them on 1210 and 990, the same trash they're misleading us with? Why are they not telling them other people down the dial to do that? They're not telling any. It's like you can mislead us all day long. You know, they used to say you can lead a horse to water, you can't force them to drink it. But with us, you lead us and dump us in the ocean with the water. So it's ridiculous, you know, and they scream and holler. And you tell me, Andrea, in any capacity, will you see any results that at the end of the day, will you see some accountability, some tickets, some results? Tell me where.
You see, Prince, that's the thing. It's so difficult. It is so difficult. You heard me. I get on here sometimes, and I am on fire myself because of the things that I see, right? And the ones that are doing really good work, you don't ever hear about the work that they're doing because it's so overcrowded with the ones that are so busy high-fiving themselves and trying to get their voices heard above the din. This city is in so much.
You go down Market Street, right across from the Enterprise Center, you got developing a tent city down there. So you see
across from the Enterprise Center.
Right. It was just 6.3 inches of snow. And then, so if you don't do anything about it now, if you don't get them people the proper assistance now, then come the summertime, you're going to have 100 people that done camped out and put tents there. These guys aren't walking the streets. These guys are using surrogates. These guys are out of touch. And so they're getting a big paycheck. And I'm telling you, you used to say, okay, the union's this and the union's that. No, you can't even blame the unions now. This is just straight politics. These folks have taken the position of gatekeepers, and they've been in there so long. You know, 18% of the people that voted. And people say, well, you know, we got to get people to run against these people. Well, you're right. We do got to get people to run against these people. Matter of fact, come January, that might be an announcement of mine. You know what I mean? Because I just fund a campaign. You know what I mean? I'm helping people. I got a couple bucks. You know, you know, so we can do that. I don't believe. Look, at the end of the day, taking down a giant that ain't doing nothing, that's a benefit. You know, that's a benefit for us. You know, we all keeping secrets and we all stand in our own little box, waiting for somebody to rise up and say these things. You know, but everybody should be speaking what they see. You know, this is pathetic. They got lines everywhere feeding us. We don't even cook no more. They give us food. They feed us. Like, they've stripped the independence from us so bad that everybody can tell us what to do.
So, Prince, I was talking to a friend about that today. She says, if you ever notice the kinds of food that are so close to us, that are so bad for us, right? And that they have all these dialysis centers all around the city. All around the city. You can't find a dialysis center like that in the suburbs, right? And so the intentional... The what does she call it? I forget the word that she used, the kind of racism that she called it. But it was just, you know, we don't have access to the food. We don't have access to the stuff that's cheap at $25, you know, McDonald's, Burger Kings, all those things. Where's our access to our fresh foods?
You realize that the Asian culture, whether it's Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, Cambodian, they eat the same selection of food that helps their intestinal system all their life. We eat everybody else's food that blow us up bigger than we should be, that gives us diabetes, that swell our feet up and stuff like that. I remember when I was coming up and I was eating oodles and noodles, and I took the package, and you know, you cooking ramen noodles and stuff, you put the whole package in there. But then when I got to college and I read the package, it said only use a third of this pack. Only use a third. And so what happens, they sold ramen noodles as a quarter a pack, you know, and so you figure, okay, I'm going to get full off this, you know, it's a meal, and it says only use a third. So now imagine all of these people who've been putting a whole salt pack inside of their hot water and stuff, and it's just devastated because you're going to let this year leave out of here with no conclusion or no resolve for helping us. You're trying to blame it on the government. Well, the government should be helping us, or Mitch McConnell. I don't see Mitch. I see you. Matter of fact, I don't even see you, but I'm hearing from you. Don't tell me what Mitch is doing. You know what I mean? Tell me how you going to help, because I know 3 people got boots on their cars right now, and I don't even know the tag. But we're going to help them with that tag, because they got to use that car to get to work. But it'd be good to call a state senator, and you represent the state reps and state senators. It'd be good to call them and get a little assistance for these people right here. You know, so bad enough we burying them. Bad enough you come to the barbershop and we give them money to bury their loved ones. Can you at least help them get this boot off their car? Yeah, it might be their fault. They might have accumulated tickets, but during this time of year, let's show some cheerful giving. And I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
Oh, well, thank you, Prince. I don't know if I can take another call today. You all a working mother. Oh, my gosh. And let's see. Let's see who's on now. Lord, y'all be nice to mother, please. Just be nice to mother, because this is too much. All right, I have Joseph from Massachusetts. Joseph, are you there?
How you doing, Andrea?
Are you gonna be nice? You gonna be nice? Cause
Well, you don't tell the police to shoot me in my back 5 times for owing child support, even though I don't have no child support. You know how we like that black on black crime. I'm always nice. Yeah.
What's up, sir?
Yeah. I tell you, I'm taking the vaccine, but I tell you why people are skeptical over the history of the Tuskegee experiment and all that, this and that. And I connect that to police brutality, the topic of the day every day for like the last 400 years. You know, I want Cuba to live to get away from America, because I realize this system is just rotten and corrupt, but it could be better. It could be better. But let me just show you some compare and contrast, and I'll jump to the police brutality and connect that to why people are skeptical about the vaccine. Do you know Cuban infant mortality rate is lower than that it is for African Americans? Do you know Cuban life expectancy is equal to Americans, 78 years old? Do you know Cuba has more doctors in Africa than any other country in the world, including America? Do you know there's more doctors per capita in Cuba than any other country in the world, more teachers per capita than any other country in the world? Their health system, they have almost 0 gun violence, low crime rate, no homelessness. That's what we should be talking about to fix the American system. And last point, and real quick with Cuba, I got jumped to police. Cuba, the average doctor get equivalent of $30 a month. And show you people, they have a different mentality over there. It's about care, it's about prevention. You know, ounce of prevention was a pound of cure. And the police brutality, I connect that to how phony these people that's running the system really are. I wasn't living in Texas. I just came from Pasadena. It's like 20 miles outside of Houston. And this guy wanted to commit suicide. He's sitting on a fence with a gun to his head, ready to blow his brain out. And like 5 police officers trying to convince him not to kill himself. And they started with their gun drawn about 75, 50 feet away, and they walking closer, going closer there with their gun facing him, telling him don't kill himself. And he got nervous by them getting so close, he shake, and the gun, this was on TV, and the gun kind of like aiming toward them or something, and they opened fire on him, shot him with 15 bullets. And I said to myself, here you are, you're trying to convince the man not to commit suicide, you kill him. What does that tell me? In other words, you can't kill yourself, but the police will kill you. Your last point with police brutality. Remember the black guy that was shot 5 times in the back? He had a warrant out for child support. Now, that police should have survived that. These police, they're trying to look like they're righteous. They care about it, about a black man that paying child support. But, yeah, you kill him. That's an unconscious act. You kill him because you don't care for him because he's a black man. Last point. I was in Georgia visiting my family in Henry County, and a white lady with a Confederate flag on the car pulled up to me, see me smoking a cigarette, trying to scold me about smoking ain't good for you, it's not healthy for you. I'm like, since when a racist white person can't for a poor black man to live long enough to collect Social Security? These people are phony. They pretend they care, they don't care. Cuba is the right way. We as black people need to look at Cuba so we can bring that system in America. They got universal health care.
All right, well, thank you, Joseph. All right, you too. Bye-bye. You all are, woo, Lord. Okay, Rebecca from Springfield, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, how you doing?
Well, I'm going to need some Advil when I get off the show today.
I know. I've been listening for a while. I've been holding on. So much has been said that I really don't have a thing to say for real. But I want to say, when the white guy called and talking about how we shouldn't have babies if you can't afford them, I mean, that got me. That's when I called, when I first called. Because guess what? My mother and father, they didn't finish high school. And I'm one of 7. And guess what? I went to the regular public school, and I have 7 brothers and sisters, and we had parents that cared about us. And, you know, it's the teacher plus the parents that work together, you know, to help the student. And that's what it was then. And what happened, I graduated high school, I got married, had children, and the best schools, they went to, my 2 children, they went Girls High, Central, and one went to engineering science. But we worked together as a family. So what happened, I'm a registered nurse. I ended up getting a master's degree. My mother and father couldn't read or write, really. And we were poor. But that doesn't stop you. You keep on going. And I had 3 children. One of my granddaughters got a 4-year scholarship to college. She's going to be a doctor. So I'm saying, yes, we're poor and we're black, but we can do it. We just have to work together, one another, love each other, try to help each other, pull each other up. So I'm saying that I hear a lot of people, a lot of negativity. Look where we come from. Be thankful for where we come. And even though they had their foot on our necks, we still continue. Still I rise. So I'm saying, as black people, think about it. We are blessed, and we really should realize if it wasn't for the Lord on our side, where would we be? Yes, and another thing is that, yes, I'm a registered nurse also. Take that vaccine. It's very important. All you have to do is use common sense. Take the vaccine. So you take care. God bless you. Have a Merry Christmas. And I hope this is some positive stuff instead of negative for you today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye. All right, George, you hung up. Now, you were next on the line for me to talk to, and you hung up. So I'm moving right along. If you want to call back, call back. Jacob, are you there?
Hey, how you doing, my sister? How you doing?
Jacob, they trying to kill Marva. They trying.
Yeah, hey, look, I'm listening. But you know what? You handle it. And, you know, all you do is work. you be working, girl. But look, you know, now I love Brother Prince. Brother Prince, I had loved it at you. But, you know, all of them politicians ain't bad. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that Prince said, look, they about ready to make me get in the race. That's what I'm talking about. If you don't like what you see, then you work to get in there. You the leader that you're looking for, right? So I would definitely support a brother like that don't like what he see. My sister didn't like the way the school district was doing when she was a teacher. She opened up her own school. That's tops in this country. And I hear people talking about schools and failing schools, and they know that our school, we have the highest graduation rate and the highest college graduation rate of all of a lot of schools in this city, and I'm talking throw in Masterman, okay? But they never tell you about the good. But, you know, what I'm saying is this. I heard him say about the churches and Pastor Wallace. Let me say this here, Sister Andrea, I'm Muslim. But Pastor Wallace, I don't think is a single pastor in the city right now doing more than him to try to turn back this killing of each other. You know, these young boys. He invites us. We had a meeting up there. He invited everybody in from all religions and everything, served us breakfast. We had police commissioners. Everybody was there. I even think George was there. But look, you know, we can't knock down. See, when people are doing good and if you don't know about it, you need to ask somebody. But I'm telling you, when I heard that, I had to say, because, I mean, we got mosques that's working. But, see, it's like triage, sister. We got to stop the bleeding. Trump is gone. Now we can get on the other problems in our hood. But we had to get we wasn't going to have no hood if we would have let Trump get another 4 years. So we had to, you know, it's like a triage. You got to take care of the big things first, and then you'll get to the other ones. But we got our hood. We're going to do that. But I just had to say it because I know what I'm talking about. when you're talking about pastors doing something, you can't put Pastor Waller in there. And let me say this here. It's a darn shame you got to say this, but I'm glad that some of them deacons and stuff is strapped, because never will a white supremacist come in among us and pray with us. And let me say something. If some of them deacons were strapped in that church down there where he did that shooting, maybe we wouldn't have lost as many people. So it's a shame you got to do that, but it ain't nothing wrong with having qualified people, because in my religion, we're told to watch as well as pray. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't nothing wrong with that. But again, I love you, Brother Prince. If you run, you got my vote already, because I see where you a doer. You know what I mean? But I just, I had to say that about Pastor Waller. But thank you, Sister Andrea. So and look, your pressure ain't up, is it? Don't. I'm going to have to look.
My pressure went up at 105. You all have been knocking this thing out the park since 105. This up here fussing.
But look, I'm gonna call Brother Sanders, and he's gonna know what to do. He's gonna have some rose petals ready with some candles and stuff. So he gonna release that pressure. So don't worry about it.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Have a good holiday. Okay, bye-bye.
Likewise.
All right, bye-bye. So I have Jay and Cliff. So let me take a quick break, and then I'll take them. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. We will be right back after these messages.
COVID-19 affected many things this year, including regular vaccinations. Vaccines are safe, effective, and protect against serious diseases. Make sure you and your family are up to date on all vaccinations. Together, we can keep each other safe and healthy. Let's stay protected together. Get vaccinated today. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
1 month, 25 bold ideas. A more just, equitable, and prosperous Philadelphia. Join speakers like Reverend Michael Eric Dyson, MSNBC anchor Ali Velshi, LAPD Sergeant-turned-police reformer Cheryl Dorsey, author and poverty fighter Wes Moore, Black Thought of the Roots, and WURD's own Charles Ellison for the Philadelphia Citizens' 3rd Annual Ideas We Should Steal Festival. Presented by Comcast NBC Universal, Tuesdays throughout December. Find out more and reserve your spot at thephiladelphiacitizen.org/Ideas We Should Steal Festival. For WURD members, check your email for discounts and complimentary access details. As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let WURD Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURD-works.com. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. There's a story that I'd like to read that Joseph Simmons said to me, but you all are woo. Let me just go. Jay from West Philly. Jay, are you there?
Hey, how you doing, sister?
Don't ask me how I'm doing, Jay. You all have got me today.
Yeah, I know.
What's going on?
You're having a day today, but my concern is just how so deeply complacent that, the civic leadership has got. We complacent about, the violence. We're undergoing record-breaking violence in the city that started from the beginning of the year. And, there was no emergency meeting or no, coming together, no mass meeting, that spearheaded by, our leadership, you know what I mean? And that's we too embedded in our complacency. And then for our school system, our education, you know what I mean? We're not doing good on the educational level in terms of achievement. So there's no spearheaded from any kind of civic or any kind of leadership position attacking
or are concerned with that problem, and then the economics. More importantly, the economics. You know, we see all the other communities working in our streets. There's a lot of street work going on in the city of Philadelphia, and we put a lot of money in the city. So all we were doing, if we was doing some of them contracts, all we be doing is getting some of our money back from supporting the city. You know, everybody's, you see all the everybody working, particularly the white males are working in our community, doing our streets, digging our streets, all the heavy equipment. You go downtown, you see all the high rises and the Philadelphia landscape. All that's being done by, people that don't look like us. And here it is, the workforce should look like the city. So you would think that if the city's putting all this money in these projects, you would think that, hey, for instance, construction. The biggest budget item in the city is construction. And here it is, we as African-American men are not even involved in the biggest budget item in the city. You got particularly the white unions, they're doing all the high-rise work, doing all the public-funded jobs, doing all the construction. And, when it comes to the tradesmen, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, we got members in electricians, but all the other trades, for 30 years, the white male's been dominating construction and public-funded jobs. And you would think that the leadership would say, hold up, these public-funded jobs, they should look, the workforce should look like the city, not just don't say nothing for 30 years. Because I've been in the game for a while now, and I had to fight to get some of them public funded jobs. And when I did get them, we got to do them at a low level. Our prices are knocked down. We always get like the short end of the stick, and we was a minority on the job site at that. So particularly the public funded jobs, we would think that, hold up, civic leadership, we don't want these jobs to go on without looking like the city, without having a decent amount of participation. Even right now, today, all the major construction jobs are going to people that don't even look like us in our city. You know what I mean? And a lot of these jobs, the money from public funds are used to build these jobs. And, I think that, the civic leadership should get out of that complacency and say, look, y'all, this got to change. We shouldn't have to walk by here and see our streets being dug up, put new drain systems and new water systems, and we got to look at them, put it in there because they won't even hire us. They won't even give us an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Jay. I appreciate you, okay?
And the percentages, sister, if you look at the percentages of the dollars that's going out, you'll cry in terms of looking at all the money that's not even coming our way. We're not even benefiting from the construction dollars, the money that we put into the city, not even coming back to us.
Thank you so much, Jay. I appreciate your calling in, okay?
All right, sister. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Cliff, Connecticut, trying to get these calls in before I have to get off the air. Cliff, are you there?
Sure, I'll be brief. Listen, I want to say, too, even from Connecticut, I believe Pastor Waller is doing some great things, and so I'm critical as well of black preachers, but I certainly believe that he has a sincere heart, and he's doing some wonderful things in terms of the community and along with the church, and so much respect to him. But I want to say this, though. The definition of insanity is
doing the same thing over and over
again and expect different results. We as black people continue to celebrate a pagan holiday and all the holidays created by the white man, including Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, 4th of July, all that, and it has nothing to do with us. And all I'm simply saying is that if we as a people, even if we were to start to embrace Kwanzaa and embrace those principles, then we won't be in so much confusion and we won't be in so much disunity. And I'm simply saying, even as we speak, there's a split even in dealing with the vaccine.
I know. Lord have mercy.
All I'm simply saying, we should know better, and if anything, we should know that all it takes is to build our immune system, to stay healthy, to eat right, and then, sister, finally, let me say this, is that if there is a remedy, let's have the faith and trust in our own nationality, our own wholeness, even the motherland, Africa, whatever, Jamaica, and look towards the earth and the resources available there opposed to the white man that we know has an agenda to depopulate and to eradicate our existence. Why is that such a hard thing to believe? And that's all I'm saying. Change your mind, change your thinking, and we will rise. And I end with this. A good example, the brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam. You know, this right there, their living and their lifestyle is different from the average black people, and they don't do the traditional things that the white man does that the blacks do. So I'm just saying, does that make a little bit of sense as an example?
I'm hearing you. I am absolutely hearing you. The one thing that I'm really hoping to get people to understand, Cliff, is that if we observe and pay attention and look at what's going on around us, it's, you know, we can always talk about all that is wrong, but I also want us to see some of what's right around us too, right? And like you said, the things that we can do to take care of ourselves and to use things from Mother Earth and to look at different ways of making sure that we stay healthy and right. I want to thank you, man. You have a good holiday. If I don't hear from you again, and I don't know.
Let me say this. Thank you and happy Kwanzaa to you. Let's put the emphasis and start embracing that first.
Come on. All right. Thank you, my brother. Happy Kwanzaa to you. Talk to you soon, okay? All right. Bye-bye. All right. I got to end the show with George. George!
I'll try to make it quick. And
wait,
when
hold on.
That...
Before you get started, you called here a few times and talked about what was going on with the correctional officers. Today, I am doing something to help a young lady, and the first thing I hear about are the correctional officers and how many of them have COVID, and all I could see was your face. Ugh. So what you calling for today, George?
Well, the thing is that they got an election coming up, and they, like I told you, they're business maids, and none of them will say nothing to you. They ain't coming on the air. They scared to death, but they think that the prison guards are so dumb they're gonna vote them back in, but that ain't gonna happen. What I really called you for is that, you know, we call Vincent Hughes Hollywood, and for good reason. You know, always dressed nice, always got nice things to say, always wear the best of colognes. He's an actor. He's just like his wife. You know, like they say, all the actors, you know, it's like he's great. He's good. But everything we said is true. And I'd be saying it way ahead of time. Now, it's only 2 black elected officials, 1 state senator and 1 state rep, who did the thing for the rent and the mortgages. Okay. Trump sent all that money in here specifically for that. Now all this stuff they talking about, they going to transfer money to the prisons. You can't do it. It ain't going to happen. Okay, that's just talk. And those Negroes have the audacity and the nerve to play us like we stupid, saying, oh, well, we didn't know. The Republicans, the white Democrats, okay, not only that, white senators, the white state representatives took care of their district. They paid their rent 100%. Okay? They paid their constituents that came in their office. Why is it that they can do the paperwork, but when it comes to black, it's complicated? You know what? They lied because they're not in their office. So how is it people will come to your office and get served? You're not in your office. You don't believe it? Call their office and see. They don't even have enough sense to transfer the calls somewhere else. But they've been getting paid almost a year without even showing up. But it's legal now. You don't have to show up for work and get paid. But I'm telling you that they should be. Listen, this is only the beginning of playing the public for what they want to do. They sat there when they had a chance to pay your rent 100%. Okay, Helen Gim, Kendrick, and Gordier, the 3 dumbest ones in council, okay? They sitting up there playing games, and they purposely and intentionally knew that that money was there, and they came on the radio constantly talking about this is what we're going to do. Every week on Zoom making messages. Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But they never once told everybody, all you got to do is get in touch with your state senator or your state rep, and they will do the paperwork to make sure that your rent is paid in full. Plain and simple as that. They couldn't even have the decency to do that.
All right, so here's so what. Can I say something to you, George? We're getting ready to go into the holidays. You come here with a plethora of information, and a lot of the times the things that you say turns out to be true. You know what the problem is that folks have with you? Why are you calling people names, George? Don't call people names. don't name call the folks.
That's the only thing they understand.
No, George. No.
Every elected official should be called worse than what I say. they don't respect you. You think they respect their constituents? Yeah. This is the only city that these elected officials abuse their constituents.
All right, hold on, George. So George,
respect their constituents.
So listen, it's 3:55. They're going to throw me off the air. I got to go because Nick Taliaferro's got to come on. I'll be back on Thursday. Take it easy, okay? All right. All right, bye-bye. My Lord, you all did not give me a break today. I couldn't even take a sip of water, for the love of God. Coming up next is Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.